be fine now.
Okay, guys, live on air with I don't know what episode of the Utopian Open Air. Open Air, yeah, no, it's not Open Air actually. It's Open Source Radio Show. Good evening. In the background, not you with me here in the live on air room, but you all out there can hear the fantastic tune that Bucky Dödel has composed especially for this show. It doesn't have a decent name yet, Bucky. It's just called Open Source Radio Show Opening Theme or something like that. Maybe you should come up with a, I don't know, freaky name to this great tune that you have been composing. And I got a surprise. We got another tune coming later. Also composed by the great Bucky. I'm turning down this opening theme a bit. Sorry, Bucky. I would like to listen to it for a long time because it's great. It has all the gist of the 80s tech where I started with computers in it. So it's great. I really like to hear it. The only thing that I got, it's a bit of a problematic tune because you made it complicated for me to have a one level. It fades in and out. But nevertheless, thanks a lot. So, what are we going to do today? Again, a different show. We started out this whole open source radio topic in having quite an idea what we wanted to present, cool projects that are happening on the blockchain or off the blockchain. And we wanted to introduce you and the audience to those projects and the other way around so that co-working could happen and support. And this is in the end what Utopian is about. And since we are named Utopian Open Source Radio Show, we should maybe hone that spirit of ours by taking this into account and acting like the way we did. But since a few shows, we are turning things a bit around, not getting too much into telling you about great projects that are out there. Well, we did that as well, but not in focus. We are now taking in focus what happens on the Steem blockchain. This all started with Hard Fork 20 and the aftermath of Hard Fork 20, where we discussed about, okay, how did things turn out in the end? And now, since last week, I think, Reggae Muffin has forked the Steem repo on GitHub, which is not a big thing initially, but he also has come up with tests, automated tests and everything to make it even easier integrating code into the Steem code base. Even though it's just a repo, it might do good in order to help Steemit Incorporated in bringing their code base forward. And so it happened that we started discussing about what maybe is the problem with the Steem blockchain, what we could do forward. We all in thinking how this should change to be better, to be, I don't know, fair, and maybe not as bitbot. Not that many bitbots around. Maybe, we could really turn things around, and this is what we are going to discuss in the second half of the show. The first half of the show, apart from having Ilana telling about what really is happening out there in the open source world, and our bot that is maybe working or maybe not, we just need to see that later on. Or Bucky, maybe you can have some chat with the bot in private. I don't know. That bot. Okay, bot is that bot. That's a pity, actually. And in the first half of the show, we're going to talk about another very important topic, which is also very connected to the future of this blockchain. Because in the end, what we said, the headline for this show will be, is the best content monetization blockchain out there. And in order to be that, we also need to do something about abuse. And we're having, or about anti-abuse, we need to fight that. And we're having people around that have been doing that for quite a while. Patrice is for sure known to everyone, and Naturicia and Imstan will be known to everyone soon. and Utopian joined this anti-abuse fight as well. So we're going in the first half of the show. We're going to talk about that. I'm Teddy, guys. I'm your host for the next. Well, normally it's going 2 hours, or it's running 2 hours the show. Lately we didn't hold that. It was always running longer. But yeah, well, let's see how things are evolving tonight. It's we got free room behind us. Sadly, Codex has quit his show. Shut Up and Listen. I really like to listen to Codex, but maybe he's coming back one way or the other. So we have room to take the time that we need to take, or to finish in time when there is nothing more to talk about. So, Ilana, how things down there in Israel?
It's actually finally not as oppressively hot, which is nice. I can go out and not need to shower right as I come in. It's kind of really nice. The weather's better, but I'm actually having a horrible week. One of my cats is really sick, and I'm not really quiet. You're really quiet, Bucky. Bucky wrote that I'm really quiet.
Yeah, well, he wanted to say that you are quite low in volume, but that's okay.
Okay, maybe that's good. That's good. It's good to have me a little quieter than usual. Anyway, so one of my cats is very sick. Every week I have some other horrible story about how my week was terrible. So one of my cats is really sick, and he's currently in hospitalization, and so far it's just cost us a whole lot of money, and the cat has been suffering and been miserable because he had to go to the vet on Wednesday, and then to be hospitalized today, which is terrible, and poor thing, and poor bank account of mine, because it is extraordinarily expensive. So I'm like really bummed out by that. So yeah, that's what's happening in my life.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too good, actually.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really depressing. He's 16 years old, and he's a little terrorist. He's a little ginger terrorist. You know, those ginger cats that just like run havoc and do horrible things. Well, that's him. I have two other cats who are also 16, and they probably have all sorts of problems, but they don't visit the vet and they don't want to. So, you know, I hope he pulls through, but, you know, he's really old, so it's probably just going to be, he's really evil. He's a ginger cat. He's super evil, but he's also really stupid. So he's a wonderful combination of evil and stupid, and he's probably just going to be running on more steroids. He's been running on steroids for about a year now, and he's just probably going to be running on even more steroids. So that's my poor, miserable cat.
Which makes him most likely even more evil.
I don't think that's very possible. I had to go to the downstairs neighbor today, and this is a true story. I went to the downstairs neighbor today and kindly asked to get my basil plant off the roof of their shed, because that bloody terrorist, he's sick. He's 3.5 kilograms. He's a very little cat, but he is on steroids, and he knocked down my basil plant onto the neighbor's shed. So, like, that's the other cats, they're nice. They just sit there in the sun all day being cats. But
being nice and being, being
16-year-old cats, which is basically like, decorative pillows that purr.
Yeah.
But he's crazy. He's always been insane. He's always been a crazy cat and a weird cat, and now he's probably miserable in some hospitalization cage all alone, and I feel so sorry for him.
Bodybuilder, really, evil cat on roids. Yeah, great.
I wish he was a bodybuilder. I wish he had some muscle mass on him, but seriously, he weighs nothing. He's just like all skin and bones because of whatever he has in his digestive tract. I feel very actually, he's more like a Victor cat.
It's not an Amos cat?
No, I hugged Amos and I hugged Victor, and Victor's the really, really skinny one. So in terms of how they feel when hugging, he's more of a Victor cat than an Amos cat.
Yeah, so definitely, Bucky. I can only support that. Our love
let me tell you some good news. Let me tell you some things that have been really, really exciting to me and been like.
Yeah, well. Let me
Bef-
introduce your.
oh no! Before the open
Before that.
source news, there's the utopian news.
Okay, then
That
let's
doesn't
go
have
for the utopian ones.
Okay, and first of all, I last week I totally showed off that we now have CoinGecko as a VIPO, and it's official, and it's totally awesome to have more familiar names onboarded
That's
as
true, yeah.
members of Utopian. I spent quite a few days getting the press release out there to make sure that the entire world knows that we're collaborating, and it's awesome. Let me see if I can just find. And another, there isn't a press release for that yet, but we have another partner that we're currently onboarding, which is Rocket Chat, which is also super, super cool. Haven't announced it yet, so yay. And
Yay.
yay. And we're also going to be at Steam Fest. We're going to be presenting at Steam Fest. And we're preparing some really, really exciting things. Which I obviously can't talk about, but we're working on it. And the other thing, which is not really news for any of you, but I promised I would mention it. If you haven't voted for our Steem on Netcoins yet, do so. We're currently third in the rankings there, and pretty much everybody will, upvote you for it. Our called D are promoting it, and Ned personally asked people to go out and do it, so go out and do it. And that's in terms of our world related news, and I found my press release. And here we are. This is the press release, and the other thing was, I already forgot what the other thing was. Just moved up to number 2. Oh, perfect. Thank you. That was
Awesome.
fast. Guys, that was very, very quick of you all. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so you want to do my crazy theme before we
Oh yeah,
look at some
definitely,
actual news?
definitely. Wait, now before that, when I wanted to do it, I was prepared. Now I'm not. Oh yeah, this is you out there can hear this most likely. I hope. This is what Bucky is doing when he's got time and beer. You in here, you cannot hear that. I'm super sad. In the live on air room, it's not audible.
It's my ringtone.
Yeah, if I could, I would, Bucky. The problem is, I'm a bit overwhelmed by the options that OBS is giving me. So I'm quite happy that it plays. Is that okay for you as well? So this is going to be the new introductory music into everything that's pink and awesome and kind of has.
I have always wanted a theme song, and it was really weird hearing myself, because it's always weird to hear yourself in a recording, but to hear yourself in a recording mixed, and I don't even remember when I said this, what show it was.
It was one of the first ones where I was. Well, at least getting it to you, because you gave this to me as the underline to your photo, and I was
I just threw something. I just totally threw something random. Okay, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, so in terms of open source news, I have learned my lessons from previous shows.
Yeah, I'm just turning it down now because it will loop until forever. And yeah, it was episode 2, maybe. I don't know.
Amazing. And we're now at
I don't know. Honestly, I forgot counting.
Hard fork. We restarted the count at the hard fork. So this is third after the hard fork.
The third after the hard fork. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's like a 20.3. So Steem is already ahead of us.
Yeah, definitely. If you hear someone shouting, by the way, it's my girlfriend, and because we have a young dog, not an old cat, but a young dog, and he's doing shit, and I hear her shouting all the time. I hope that you don't. If you
hear noise on my side, it's because one of the neighbors decided to have a karaoke party, that I think can be heard in neighboring towns. It's like they don't know that the speakers have a lower system, and I had to close all the windows, and I have double windows, and I can still hear them. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
it
crazy.
sounds quite like a good party actually on a
It's
Wednesday.
not it's not my type of music. It's not my type of music. There's this other neighbor I have. On Friday mornings, they put Pink Floyd on full volume. Those neighbors I love. I don't know who they are, but I love them. These guys have horrible karaoke, and none of them can sing. Not a single one. So yeah, headphones on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in terms of open source news, one of the more interesting things that happened this week was GitHub releasing the state of open source, or Octoverse report. And there were many interesting numbers in there. And they also had a list of the most popular repositories. And this is and this particular thing made me kind of stop and wonder why those, because the most popular projects on GitHub were Microsoft Azure and Facebook's PyTorch. Both are projects that are managed and owned by corporations, big corporations, and GitHub is owned by one of these corporations. And what I think is kind of interesting is that it's a sign that the independent projects and the ones that could potentially be beneficial to everyone and not just those specific corporations and users of their software, it's pretty sad that we don't see more independent and small projects suddenly being the fastest growing ones on GitHub, because I would really love to see that. Another interesting piece, a couple of facts, which I was like, kind of like, why? The fastest growing by number of repositories created in terms of countries is Algeria, and Egypt has the highest number of open source repositories. And I'm like, why Egypt? I mean, Egypt? Why of all places does Egypt have the largest number of open source repositories? That's just makes no sense to me. Other happy data from there is the number of organizations using GitHub is up 40% in the past year. So that's very, very interesting, because like that's a huge growth, 40% growth in terms of like not really clients, but organizations that are using the platform. It's insane growth. So I think it's a very cool pile of data and facts that are interesting to look at. Maybe
Indeed,
it's
it
fake
is.
news.
Yeah.
I don't know if fake news. I don't know. It's GitHub. It's not me. Um,
What did Ilya
Unfortunate.
put in there?
I would love for Diego to come on air and explain what that means and how that could be helpful to developers, because I kind of looked at it and it's from yesterday, and I still haven't completely understood. Like, it's supposed to be like if this then that for developers. I haven't actually looked into it too deeply, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, true, it
Uh,
is. But just by scanning it, it's complicated. I agree.
Again, for someone who's not a coder, perhaps for someone who is a coder, it's just like, oh, this is brilliant. Why didn't? Um, Diego's using his excuse for being on mobile, because we really want to have him on the air, because he has like a really, really fancy microphone. Unlike me, I have a cheap headset, but Diego has a fancy microphone. So we love having him on the air because he sounds great. So
And the
aside from
studio and everything. He doesn't only
yeah,
have a
yeah.
microphone. You got everything basically.
we keep talking about how someday we're going to set up video, and all of us are also going to have video feeds,
Oh
and
yeah.
and
Mm.
you'll have to see how tired I am. And so yeah, that's a thing we should eventually do. After all the really fun statistics from GitHub, there's been a lot of talk lately about open source licensing, because there was that company who changed their license and kind of basically closed sourced it, opening a whole conversation about the commons clause, and I think it was Redis Labs. Uh, but then changes because of that happened. Now another company I think that is very popular and used in the open source ecosystem and is an open source project. It's MongoDB. I actually even met somebody from MongoDB at one of the open source conferences I was at. They changed their license for the same reason that Redis, the previous company who changed their license, did it. What was basically happening is that service providers were selling their product. They took this open source product, MongoDB, they made certain alterations to it, and were then selling it as a product to their clients and making money off of using open source. And eventually MongoDB got nothing out of it. So what they did is they basically decided to change their license so that people and companies that are forking and changing MongoDB for their own needs can continue to do that. But service providers will no longer be able to kind of resell the product and make all the money without having some kind of licensing agreement with the project owners of MongoDB. So I think that this is, it's a really interesting evolution that is happening to certain open source projects, and I'm expecting to see even more, because there's just so many open source projects, especially for when it comes to server side and enterprise solutions, that are being kind of abused. You know, you get a coder to spend some time adjusting it, and then you just sell it to customers, and all the hard work that was done by the developers of the source code, they're getting nothing for it. And basically you're earning all the money. So they're trying to prevent that, and I foresee a lot more open source project adopting that approach with what MongoDB is introduced is a license called server-side public license, that basically puts certain limitations on what companies can do and how they can commercially use the solution. So, oh, Diego disagrees. Well, you have to be with a microphone if you want to really disagree. So, yeah, you can't be on mobile to disagree. If you want to disagree with me, you got to get your earphones. You got to get your microphone. So, I honestly do think that this is going to happen more and more often, because unless it's like developed by Google wouldn't mind, because they have enough money. They don't mind if you resell their code. Fine. Certain Google products, like maybe Android, they don't give they don't care much if you fork Android and have your own. Possibly, I don't know. I could be wrong. I didn't particularly check that because legal stuff makes me itchy. But if certain projects, it makes sense that there would be some way to reward the original developers, unless they're a big corporation that somehow eventually do benefit from you selling the product. So I think it's a really interesting question. And if there was anything else I was saving for you, nope, I think that's about it. Well, the previous one we also discussed, and again with Microsoft, we already discussed. I kind of mentioned it last week. It was about Microsoft joining the Open Invention Network, which is an open source patent company, to allow open source software developers to use about 60,000 different software patents that are currently held by Microsoft and are now open to the open source developer community. So that they can use it without having to pay any kind of licensing fee, which basically protects a lot of open source developers who can now use this code and not be afraid. So that's pretty much kind of what I have for you today.
Very good, and thanks a lot.
It's short on purpose because I know that once we start talking about what's been going on with Steem and all the interesting projects going around. So once we start talking about that, we might again go past the 2 hours. So I'm making the news short this time.
Yeah, maybe. I really don't know. It depends on how the audience is reacting or is taking part in the discussion. Maybe we are done in 5 minutes. I don't know. Maybe everybody thinks that everything's good and it shouldn't change, and But
well, Didi's actually adding chat that you can fork Android, but if you want to have Google apps on top of it, you gotta pay. What if I have my own app store? Like, what if I wanted to make an app store just for my specific Steam-based Android phone? Couldn't I do that? By the way, somebody better write this down, by the way. Steam-based Android phone. Nobody's
really?
thinking this
Steam-based
is a startup.
Android phone?
Yeah.
I'm not following you, maybe. But
well, there's already okay, first of all, there's already a lot of talk about blockchain mobiles, phones that are also cryptocurrency wallets, and that have the user data encrypted in a blockchain. So all sorts of interesting. There was also an ICO by somebody I know in Israel.
A scam ICO or an ICO that really wanted to do something?
I can't really tell the difference personally, which is why I stay away from them. But I just I personally know this guy from the internet and technology and press circles in Israel. And I honestly don't know where development is, but I know that it's being the token's traded. That's what I know. But they did want to I don't even remember the name of the company, but they wanted to do a mobile phone. I think it's also Android based. That is actually a mobile wallet that is using their token as the central payment method. Now, what would if we could do that with Steem? That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just dreaming here. I mean, like imagine a whole system.
Yeah, I'm more with I'm Stan and guilty parties that both say out of different reasons that maybe having wallets on a phone is not the best of ideas.
Why? Not because like seriously, I can imagine
keep losing my phones.
Seriously, I have never in my life lost my phone. I'm like, if my phone is not on me, I feel naked. I mean, I go insane when my phone is taken away from me. I get uneasy when I don't have reception. I mean, I'm more likely to lose, to lose an arm than to lose my phone.
Really?
Like, yeah. I'm good. Like, did you see where I left my phone? Well,
and the $40,000 I got lying around there just on my phone, you know.
It's not an addiction; it's a dependence.
Well, which is even worse than an addiction, no?
Absolutely. Because if I'm offline for a couple of hours, people will get worried. People who know me will get like insanely worried.
That's cool, guilty parties. That's really cool. Ilana, have you been inventing Bitcoin? Was it you?
No. My experience with Bitcoin, and I've mentioned this more than once before, and this was my first experience with cryptocurrency, and I also assumed it would be. Back in 2009, I was a technology journalist, and people started talking about this Bitcoin Bitcoin thing.
Yeah, the other
And
next door neighbor to the other side who's playing the cool music, most
yeah,
likely.
probably. So people were talking about this new Bitcoin thing, and it was nobody in Israel knew anything about it, as far as I knew, anyway. So I installed this pool mining script thing on my Linux box. Sorry, on my Linux OS on my standard box because it had a good GPU. Hi, Marky. I see pancakes. I already know it's Marky. So I tried mining Bitcoin using a pool miner on my GPU. I woke up in the morning. The room smelled like popcorn. I no longer had a GPU. I must have done something wrong with the settings, overclocked it. It was Israeli summer, and that was how my GPU died. And I said, okay, I'm not touching cryptocurrencies again. That GPU cost me quite a bit of money, and that's very sad. I did have and I think I still have a Coinbase account that I created back then, and so 2010 maybe, and I thought that would be my first and last experience with cryptocurrency. I don't think that Bitcoin was invented by Israelis.
By your cat?
My cat killed my power supply. It's the same bloody cat who's now sick and who peed into my power supply, burning it out. That was like a couple of months ago, and I nearly missed the show because of that. I remember that, and that was not fun.
You're always close in missing shows, my dear. Today was exactly
true.
1 minute before you showed up.
What? I was on time, man. I was on time. You tell me I need to be
totally on time. That was great.
Computers that are liquid cool with maple syrup. Okay, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, maybe before you start eating something, let's go back to topic. No?
Yes.
And first topic of this is we got a lot of abuse fighters around. We got Patrice from the Steem Cleaners. And then we got I'm Stan and Natu that are both joining the anti-abuse fights as well. I think I'm Stan has his own, but I forgot. Can you help me, I'm Stan? Or can you help me, Ilana?
With what?
The project that I'm Stan has in fighting abuse. Steam Flag Rewards. Thank you, Natu.
I mostly know him as the one who's coordinating the good fight with Utopian, basically. That's helping Utopian reward anti-spamming and anti-abuse activities.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he has got Steam Flag Rewards, obviously. So, something that we should definitely mention. So, hey, I'm Stan, Natu, and Patrice. Join me and Ilana in talking about the future
and Marky.
of Steam.
Why don't you mention Marky? I've been like,
because
come on, mention Mark.
Yeah, but
he's the Lone Ranger of abuse fighting.
Obviously, you didn't read my script, but now I'm going to mention Marky as well. Hey, Marky, you're more or less like every time around because you're doing obviously a lot of things that we can talk about, and also fighting abuse, which is well, you're the Lone Ranger since this photo is out of Firefly, what? Say it again, Ilana.
brown coats.
Brown coats, exactly. Yeah, so what is the current status of anti-abuse fight on the Steem blockchain, guys? If this cannot be the first question to you, then I don't know to whom I could ask this.
You asking me or
everyone, basically? But you are fighting abuse as well.
It's pretty much an ongoing battle, and it's a battle we're losing. And in my opinion, it's probably one of the biggest things that will affect Steem. But again, like I've said many times, I think moving away from content is the only way for Steem to survive anyway. So we need to focus on apps that bring people in to spend Steem and buy Steem. But content is just sinking our direction. But all the spam is just insane. It's probably 85% of what's on the platform.
Yeah.
It's going to be an ongoing battle as long as there is content. And it's going to be something that we're never going to win. The only thing we can do is try to stay ahead of the worst offenders.
Yeah, I saw you turn green a lot of times, Patrice, and I didn't hear you, so I was kind of afraid that your microphone has lost it.
No, my microphone is very sensitive, unfortunately.
Okay. So yeah, Marky Mark said already, a losing battle. You're basically saying the same. I'm saying now two different opinions.
Well, let me clarify one thing real quick. Can everybody hear me?
Mm-hmm. Very fine.
Steam Flag Rewards is Anthony A. DeVicis. That's his Steam It handle. It's his project. I pretty much kind of came in and no one was working with it. There was a lot of guys chatting there, but nothing was happening. I came in and just busted my tail and started making it really work. And now it's happening well. And because of that, I got some requests from others to help Utopian build a anti-abuse project inside Utopian, and I accepted that project, and I've been working with LER and Didic and others to try to get that project going. It's pretty slow moving. We've only had 3 posts so far in over a week. I really thought we were going to get a lot more posts, but everyone is scared because Utopian is such a big project and so technical, and computers, everyone thinks that their blog post about abuse fighting won't be worthy of a Utopian vote. So we're trying now to establish that a blog post about abuse fighting is critical for the platform, and rewarding abuse fighters for the work that they've done is critical to the platform. And so hopefully we'll get a response from everyone soon in a positive way about getting some posts out. There we go.
This has been happening. Oh yeah, Patrice,
project.
It's you, Patrice. Sorry.
And I think it's a great project that's going to help support all of the abuse fighters out there, because it's very difficult to do this and not get recognition. And we've stayed out of trending pages for quite a while now. It's probably been 7 or 8 months since we've been in trending. And there is the problem with that is that people come into Steem It, they see the trending page, they don't see anything about anti-abuse efforts and that, so they don't realize that it is a thing that we are doing, and that has kind of hampered us a little bit in the fight. So we're hoping to see some of the support from other groups, and I'm not saying this will bring the topic to trending, but it will spread the word that it is happening, that there are groups out there fighting abuse.
Basically, what I was thinking about is I think almost everyone knows you, Patrice. At least when I joined the blockchain, Steam cleaners have been quite renowned for doing a great job in the anti-abuse fight. Yeah, but it turned down a bit. You're right. I noticed that as well.
Yeah. And it's difficult. And this is something that we do every day. It's not something that we, do occasionally. It's something that we're battling every day, and it ebbs and it flows. And it also comes with its own drama, and because everything is subjective. So getting feedback from the community as to what they consider is abuse and what they are willing to accept, and I kind of branched off and created Spaminator to deal with the spam portion of it that is even more subjective than what Steam Cleaners deals with. And I did that in an effort to separate the projects so that when I flag something that is somewhat subjective with Spaminator, it does not necessarily reflect on Steam Cleaners. And we need feedback from the community, and especially myself, when it comes to Spaminator, as to what they feel is, spam and what isn't. I've pretty much left bots alone. Bots, as long as they're posting on new posts, commenting new posts or creating new posts. I've left that up to the community to decide whether or not it's valuable or not. But in a lot of other aspects, I mean, we've gotten a lot of people who think now that comment farming should be allowed, and that it's okay to take your stake and comment on old posts and just continue to upvote yourself. And that's one of the things that we've been flagging for a while. But now we're getting feedback and pushback from the community. And it's only a small portion of the community that says that type of thing should be allowed. And it's one of the things that overall, we need input from the community saying, do you really think that's the case?
Yeah, it's complicated. Since rules are shifting a bit, or have been shifting a bit. Nazi, you have been in the abuse fight since you joined Steem. It was often criticized by me personally, but now you're here because exactly that brought you to this panel. So how are you feeling? Are things getting worse? Are they getting better? Or is it just basically the same fight every day?
Well, first I want to clarify that I'm not into that anti-abuse fight since the beginning.
Okay.
I joined later and didn't know about Steam cleaners first. Well, Patrice knows the story behind it. I won't tell it again. I don't think it gets worse. It just stays at the same level. So we still have common farms. We still have account networks abusing Steam. We still have plagiarism and so on. So it doesn't change much.
But it also does not get better.
No, not really. You cannot really get ahead of all of the abuse. If you fight one, a new come back.
Okay. So,
and not to mention the same ones keep popping up over and over because they've learned that, eventually we let our guard down with Dart and Zelo, Tard, and all of them. We let our guard down when they stop, and they'll come back, create more accounts, do it all over again. So we have the same people that are doing the same things over and over again. It's just whack-a-mole. You find their accounts and take them out.
Is this getting
I have a two.
Okay,
Sorry,
you, Ilana.
I have a two-part question. I'm still here. I have a two-part question. One of them I've already actually asked you, and I'm going to ask you again. But the first one is I think is something that most of us, as the average, or pretty much the average Steam users are asking, what can we do? Like, for example, I came across a pretty annoying circle jerk in my community, in the Israeli community, and I'm been so angry about it for several days. I've been furious about it, and I don't know what to do, because I don't want to start too much drama in the community. But I want this abuse to stop, and there's some really smart stuff going there, people paying the cash. You get they got a whale uploading their posts, and they send him the payout cash to a different account of his. All sorts of setups like that. What do we do? How can we help? What can the average Steemian do to help to prevent bad behavior, to help to prevent circle jerks and spammers and plagiarism and overvalued shitposts? What do we do?
The only thing you can do to prevent it is not do it. But to help stop it, the best thing you can do is, 1, report it to Steam cleaners. 2, report it to Steam flag rewards if it's something that Steam cleaners is out of scope. And unfortunately, like you said, with the circle jerks and that's not always something we can do something with because it's way out of our scope. And it's something that, really irritates me that I have not been able to, sorry about that.
Don't worry.
You're a busy woman. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. But there's not a lot we can do about it. And what I'm really hoping, and I've hoped for the last year, is that Sad Kitten and more projects like that will come up, that we'll be able to get people together that will say, hey, we need to stop these over rewarded posts, and so I'm going to donate X amount of SP to a group that has a council that will go out and be a flag curation team. Instead of upvoting good content, they're going to go out there and flag over rewarded content. And that's not something that really that really isn't going to be incorporated into Steam Cleaners or Spaminator, because it's a conflict of interest that requires us to make a decision on the value of the content. And that's something that we need curators to do. We need people that have the ethical and to go out to the ethics, first of all, not lower themselves to get into disputes and stuff like that and start flagging stuff just because they don't like the person, but to actually analyze the content and say, hey, this guy, he posted a video that made it to trending, and all he is doing is whining about cryptocurrency and how bad it is, and 90% of that post he's bid botted. And the council needs to say, hey, this is not the kind of stuff we want to be able to reward. And I don't see anybody interested in creating a group to do that. And if there is the interest, there's nobody that wants to give the SP to a group like that, because that SP isn't used for upvoting. I see a lot of different, aspects of things that could be done that aren't being done. And one of the things I'm hoping with Hard Fork 21 and the community the communities is that people will actually create communities and will push this kind of stuff out. They'll say, I don't want that kind of stuff in my community. And so it will open up the door to allow us to stop that kind of content.
The problem is a lot of the whales have their different opinions. Like a lot of them don't even believe there's a such thing as plagiarism, copy paste, or any of those rules. The rules apply differently to them. A lot of people can't even decide what is spam and what's abuse. It's a gray area where there's no real definition, and there's no authority to say, hey, these are the rules, and these are what you're supposed to follow.
And there really shouldn't be one person that makes the rules. It should be a consensus. And like I said, that's why I said a council. The majority of, if we could get a good majority of the active users on Steam that are content creators to come together and agree on anything, it would be nice. But I don't see it happening because, like you said, with the whales, they have their own. They have their own agendas, and there are several that we deal with, and I think you'll know who I'm talking about, who thinks, and I agree that the rules don't apply to them. They want to stop copying, pasting from X account, but, it's okay for them to do so, as long as it's all about them.
The problem is everyone wants to be decentralized, but to solve the problem, you have to turn centralized until the community steps up and does their job. And unfortunately, that's never going to happen. There's very few that will do it. And if you look at just one day of what I do a day with the flagging and stuff like that and what I get in return, it's just, I couldn't see many people wanting to deal with that.
No. And Steam Cleaners, we get quite a bit, but honestly, we don't get enough at this point with the low price of Steam to work we're working about cap 50 hours a week now, whereas we were able to fund over 100 hours a week before. And granted, the abuse is down, but we could be finding a lot more abuse if we had more funding to pay for the hours. And it's hard to get people to work for free. It really is. True. Even if it is, even if it is for the betterment of the platform, we all have bills to pay.
Yeah, and it's
which brings me to my second question. I had a second question.
Yeah, it was twofold. It was one question with two.
Yeah. And the second one, this is one I asked you before, Patrice, and you said, let's talk about the after the new website comes out, and that didn't really happen because I was swallowed. What of all of this, lots of work, 50 hours a week is crazy number of hours of work. What of all of this can be automated, and how? Because
we've started automating some of it with our app. One of the great things is that today, when you go to steamcleaners.com and you submit a report, we can actually review that report and approve it, and the commenting and the flagging is automated. It's automatically done from the site itself. So with the 3-second comments that change, we actually can do a lot more work a lot faster than we used to be able to, with a lot less labor. As far as Spaminator's gone, I've automated that a lot more. It's taking some tweaking now, and that's actually what I've been working on, is tweaking my Spaminator bot right now, because of the hard fork 20 and the change with the R shares for the voting. But we've actually automated quite a bit of it. And I'm against 100% automating anything that we don't actually put eyes on, because there are, as much as machine learning and that has evolved, we're not to the point that I can say 100% that I'm going to trust something, even if it's made by somebody who's in the top of their field.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
I think right now we've automated it as far as we can go.
Can I interject a little bit on this whole thing?
Sure,
and I know, I know I'm late.
Wait. I wanted to introduce you properly. So, hey, this is Mino. He came a bit late, but he's jumping directly, obviously. So, hi, Mino, and just go for it.
How are you, brother? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to say some things that you guys might have addressed, so I apologize if I do, but hopefully the rest of the points I want to make on this conversation are somewhat new to the dialogue. I think this whole thing about controlling spam or controlling bad behavior or whatnot is a twofold solution. So a lot of times when we're talking about finding ways to fix it, we're kind of talking about how do we curve the spam? How do we curve the bad behaviors? How do we curve the scammers and all stuff? Like, how do we make them not do it? And we're coming up with systems of punishment. So what that basically is somewhat like a parent, and I'm trying to make some analogy here so that people can relate to what I'm saying. Saying, well, I never actually do anything nice for my kids when they do something right, but if they mess up, I will beat their ass. Now, in human psychology, when you treat people like that, there's actually two outcomes. One of them is, let me double down, right? So somebody will say, will fall into that victim mentality and be like, oh, I'm being abused by this censorship control system that does not allow me to have any freedom, and we'll do some kind of mechanical mental warping in order for them to justify all of their behaviors. And they wouldn't be lying, by the way. You put a freaking polygraph on them and they'll pass, or that person would either coward, show that they don't have, I guess you could say, the mental agility to surf those waters, and then leave the platform altogether, saying, okay, that's it, this is not for me, or what have you. But we don't have the second element to it, which is what happens if there is something that we can do, like regarding reforming these new users. So like if somebody comes in, because what I'm saying, and I'm saying this, of course, not to say that all of them are innocent, but there is a percentage of these people that are just uninformed.
Yes, there are.
But we default into, oh, look at this guy. He posted 10 times today a picture of a bird. Oh, screw him, man. I'm going to Spaminator him. I'm going to get my Steem flag rewards and all stuff and all that. And I support, by the way, flags. So I don't want to be misinterpreted. But maybe that person, the one that we just flagged to death, just needed a little bit of guidance. So I agree that controlling this thing is important, but I think that has to go hand in hand with the system of education, so that we can grab these new users and be like, hey, dude, what you want to do? Oh, you want to make some friends? Want to make some money? Okay, tell you what you're doing is not going to work. Come here. Let me show you how to do it. And then when they actually engage in the right behaviors, we have a mechanism of rewards for them. Like, okay, they're doing the things right. Let me give them a little No, I don't want to upvote that guy because last week he was spamming. Well, he's trying now. Can we get over that? You know, and I think that's what's missing from this conversation. I just wanted to say that because I think me and Mark have had this conversation quite a bit already.
So you got history, obviously.
But I wanted to say it out loud so that other people can chime in on that idea.
We do try to weed out the habitual abusers or the people that are just hardcore scammers that are here to do nothing but scam from those who may be uninformed, naive about the platform. And we do try to suggest communities that they can get involved in, because there are tons of communities, you know, of all nationalities and languages around Steemit that they can get involved in. We do try to separate the two out and direct people who can be reformed or who are just uninformed to those communities. And we do get some success with that. Unfortunately, part of the problem is we don't have anybody in-house. And like somebody said, our counselor's room is not very well staffed. We don't have a lot of volunteers to come in and help with those people. And I wish we could spend more time doing that. And our regular team, I'll be honest with you, gets so jaded that it's difficult to do this type of job and identify those who are scammers and those who might be uninformed, and they end up getting lumped into the same category, and they end up getting overlooked. And a lot of times what we really need is outsiders to come in, and that's one of the reasons that I had hoped having detectives and reporters and that in our Discord would kind of make some changes and be able to give some helpful advice. But unfortunately, the detectives are just as jaded as we are in some respects.
Maybe there needs to be some sort of what do they call it, like walled gardens, so that detectives, all they have to do is report their findings, no opinion, just factual. These many, and then have that a layer just doing that, collecting factual evidence, and then another layer that actually makes the judgment of people that you believe. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving you more work.
Yeah, that's more or less. We need to have people involved in Discord and chats that aren't as jaded as we are to help kind of, you know, bring us back and say, hey, this guy isn't a scammer. He's just uninformed. Let me work with him.
There's actually one user, and I'm just going to throw his name out there, and then I'm sorry if I interrupted somebody, that has been trying to do that. I'm going to give him props. There's a guy named Vladivostok. He's not here right now. And he has a Discord, and he's like the only person that I know that has been literally going into like people that are scamming, people that are not scamming but spamming, and you know, copy pasting other people's comments and all that, and be like, hey dude, let me teach you how to do it. Get in my Discord. And he's been really trying to help those people. And of course, there's different degrees of success that he's been having. And the other day he had a bad situation or what have you. But I think whatever initiative happens from here, like however this evolves, because we keep on talking about making negative curation a thing, so you can actually make some money when you flag and all this stuff. If that ever becomes a thing, to me, that cannot happen unless we also have a reform system. Because if not, we're basically creating a justice system very much so like the broken system we have here in America. So we just create criminals. You know, we just put them in there. They become better at being criminals because now they've been labeled, and therefore they have no reason to get better. You know, so there's like, oh yeah, I'm a criminal, so let me just go ahead and keep on spamming, keep getting better at it and more creative, because the community basically told me they don't want me, regardless if I say I'm sorry. So
wait a minute.
One of the problems is I don't get paid for any of this. I don't have Steam power that's delegated to me to do this. I don't get paid to do it. Everything I do for anti-abuse is losing money for me. It's losing money on my bot.
Same for me.
So when I do this, I want to stop. I want to accomplish my goal, which is to stop abuse, stop spam, stop plagiarism. The problem is everybody that I stop is going to say, oh, I'm not a spammer, or I'll stop, or they'll go the third avenue, which is basically they want to kill me, rape my kids, and all the other things they say. So
Yeah, no, obviously that's.
I pretty much
okay.
have a closed door. Once somebody's on the list, they're pretty much there, unless if somebody with power vouches for them and then says that whatever. But I can't afford to spend time blocking people, then look back on my shoulder and say, okay, are they doing it again? Are they starting up again? And go back and do the same work I've already done before. I don't have a team. I'm a one-man show, so I have no resources to do that. So when I block somebody, they're blocked for a reason, not because I feel like it. There's guidelines I use to decide if they're blocked. And once they're on there, they're pretty much on there. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to cater to spammers. I don't have the time. I don't have the funds to do it. I'm just going to block as many people that are trying to take from the reward pool through malicious means, and that's it. I mean, I don't have time to deal with it. If someone else wants to do it, fine, but it's not my job. And
the whole problem is, wait a minute, are we dealing with adults or are we dealing with children? If we're dealing with children, then yeah, we need to approach it like we're dealing with children. But if we're dealing with adults, then we need to approach it like adults. I think Mino is kind of on point, but I think he's missing the fact that it's not because of these people not knowing it's right or wrong. It's because they come from cultures where people that live in poverty do these things to live on a daily basis in their own countries. My wife is from one of those type of countries, and these people steal even from their own family members to feed their family member on another side. So it's not the same kind of culture that Western folks are used to. That is, a lot of the abusers that we're dealing with are from countries that it's everyday activity. I mean, honestly, China is ripping off the United States of America and the rest of the Western world copyrights and videos. And I mean, you can go in any market in many of these countries, and it's full of videos and technology that's been stolen and produced on the cheap that looks like it's the real thing, but it's not. It's junk. And that's kind of what we're dealing with, because we're talking about stuff that looks real. It looks like good content, but then you dig in, you find out it's not their content. They're freaking crooks, and they're messing everything else up for everyone else.
We should
You
not
also have
accept
things
that culture.
kind of-
We should not accept that
You
culture. We
also
should
have
not
places
accept
like
that
China
behavior.
that
We should not
don't have
encourage it at all.
No, we need to stop, and we don't need to encourage it. But the problem is that it's when you're dealing with a culture like that, it's a whole lot harder to deal with than somebody who is, from, like he said, the Western world, who is doing it because they just don't know any better, and they're a immigrant from Facebook and Twitter,
Or just generally an abusive douchebag.
Exactly.
That's the majority
we
of them,
can
unfortunately.
we can tell
Yep.
them that, hey, this isn't accepted here, and they understand that, hey, yeah, I'm from a Western culture, yeah, this is wrong, I shouldn't have done it, blah blah blah. Either that, or they go on the power trip that you can't tell me what to do. But when you're dealing with a culture that this is their way of life, it's a whole lot harder to reform somebody like that, because that's what they do in their everyday life.
Well, if we can't reform them, then they should go and build their own Steem it.
Absolutely. I've told a few
Where
like
they can
that.
try and rob each other, like it is customary to try and rob your family to feed your other family,
Absolutely.
whatever. They can
I've
go and
told a
do
few
that on
like
their
that,
own
yeah.
blockchain. They can go ahead and do that on their own blockchain. This is our blockchain, and with all due respect, we as a community sort of make the rules sort of make the rules. So we should not go, oh yes, it's their culture, so it's okay that they're trying to steal from our reward pool, our community reward pool. So it's fine because it's their culture. No, it ain't. It is not even remotely fine. And we should not accept it.
I'm a bit with Mino. I'm not that hardline. Obviously, most of us in here are. I don't know why. Hey, Mino, obviously we are on the other side, which is okay, by the way. This makes up a good discussion. Yeah. But I'm also not... Well, I know that there are a lot of people out there that are doing this exactly because they can. The blockchain is allowing it. And because this is the easy way to money for them. This is clear and we cannot stop this. I don't know why. How. I would know why, but I don't know how. So what is in there is also the thing that which really look twice before we are judging hard, because all of us that are obviously in this chat right now, and most likely in the audience as well, or at least most of them, are the really lucky ones, having been brought up the way we have been. So judging is quite easy if you always have something to bite.
Well,
Going back to what Stan said about are we dealing with children, when you add money into every single action, you pretty much are dealing with children. It's just a simple fact is what's going to happen.
Meaner children, like really mean children, because kids have this level of certain degree of innocence. As soon as there's money, evil comes out of people, and that's one of the reasons I really, really hate money.
But
Can I say something to Mino? Because you said that they should get another chance and so on. Well, if you look at Steam cleaners, they mostly comment first, but without a flag. And just if the user continues, they start to flag the user as well. But then they don't nuke the account to reputation 0 or something like that. They just remove the payout. So it's not like we're punishing them for their actions. First, we are just warning them. Then we are just taking the rewards away because it's not original. So what the really matter is they have several chances to get to our Discord, to get help. I myself have been in a chat with a user in the deep night, telling him how to do it better. And so sure, there is a way of support in the Steam Cleaners community. And of course, we cannot help everyone. We don't have unlimited time, but we try to help as much as we can.
well, I appreciate that. By the way, I'm a fan of Steam Cleaners, and like I also support Mark with the things that he does. I don't want to be misinterpreted. I flags are important for the health of the platform. So I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, Menno's against flags." No, I'm actually the opposite. I'm all for it. But I all the point I'm trying to make is like, all of us need to be able to flex the empathetic muscle every now and then and see if there's somebody who's redeemable, somebody that we can bring them onto the fold and teach them and make them better.
I'll give you a list of 22,000 and a half.
Yeah.
You want to go through those and figure that out and figure out which ones are lying to you? Because I don't.
I agree, and we do our best to do that. And there are times that we fail in that, like I said, because we get jaded, dealing with it day in and day out. But Steam Cleaners does try to help anybody that does come into our Discord channel. We have detectives like Natu, and we have others that are good at finding plagiarism and helping the community as best they can. And we really appreciate the effort of everybody who comes into our platform and helps. We have a counseling channel that's not getting much use, and I wish it would get more use if we could get volunteers to come in and help counsel those who are redeemable. It's just difficult on a day-to-day basis, and I understand what you're saying, Mino, and we do our best. And there are times that we do need somebody to give us a wake-up call and say, "Hey, this guy's just trying to make a living, and he didn't understand what he did, and he just needs some help." And we do, if somebody comes to us like that, and we'll do our best to try to help them. And there have been mistakes made. I know that somebody accidentally got put on MacBot and TextLet, and I cannot remember your real name off the top of my head. Sorry.
Ilana.
Ilana. Came to me and said, "Hey, why is this user on MacBot?" And it ended up being he got suckered into a curation trail that was upvoting spam or some type of junk. And we try our best, to be approachable.
Okay. Mino, sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I think what it comes down to is really the people that are maybe I'm wrong about this, so maybe I'm onto something. Maybe the people that would be doing appeals or dealing with appeals should be somewhat disconnected from the people that are applying the punishment, so that they don't have that. well, I'm saying that just so that there's not that fatigue, because I guess we all have, and I have it too, like sympathetic fatigue or empathetic, whatever you want to call it, where like all of a sudden you're like, oh man, listening to people whine all day, it is tiring.
Who's going to fund it?
Yeah, that's the problem, is finding somebody, one, who would either volunteer or find a way to monetize their time.
Stan is stabbing me in the jugular, but yeah, you have a point.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The problem on Steem is...
Can anyone hear anything?
Yeah, we're hearing
everything on Steem is an upvote bot, and that's pretty much the problem. Everything has to pull from the rewards pool to be sustainable.
Okay. I'd just like to say, Mino, we would love for you to take that into your saddle and run that project. I
got a list for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that it's difficult for an abuse fighter who's dealing with a scammer who's been scamming for a long time, and they've been flagging them, and they finally show up on our Discord, and then that abuse fighter is the one that has to deal with the confrontation with that individual. It would be very good to have people that are outside of the whole situation to be able to look at it from a different perspective. I'm all for that. If you want to take up that role and you want to get some people in our Discord to start doing that, we can just block us from the dispute channel and make you be the master of the dispute channel.
Yeah, help them out.
Have you considered publishing a call for volunteers?
We haven't yet. We're trying to get the Discord a little restructured, and we've got a lot of input about how we've been operating with the detectives and that, and we need to do a little bit more restructuring on volunteers and versus Steam Cleaners members. And as soon as we do that, I'm thinking that we will maybe do a post about how the community can help us in Discord and help us with maybe rehabilitating and volunteering for the
appeals court.
Yes, maybe help us with the appeals, and maybe also help us with reforming, and just volunteer to funnel people back into other communities. Help find them communities that will help them, because not everything can happen on the Steam Cleaners Discord. We'd love to help as many people as we can, but we also need to funnel people out to communities that will help them long term and help them integrate with us, because we've been somewhat successful with getting people involved in other communities, and they do thrive there once they figure out that Steemit isn't just a place to copy and paste content.
With the work of the detectives, it's sometimes a little bit hard, because the users coming into the channel, they expect from everyone having a role that they have access to Steam Cleaners, that they can say exactly what the issue is. But sometimes it's just in the Steam Cleaners database, and we do not have access to that. So sometimes we really need the Steam Cleaners to help the users, but they're at the same time expecting from us that we know all their answers. So it's not really easy always.
No, it's not easy for you guys to answer questions. I mean, you guys are great when it comes to the general problems and that, but when it comes to specifics, and I need to probably do a post about Discord, getting the community to understand that you guys are here as volunteers to help us, as opposed to being actual Steam Cleaners yourselves, is something that we've tried to make clear but haven't done a very good job of it. And you guys do an awesome job of answering questions and trying to help us reduce our workload in dealing with people that come in and are basically just whining over getting flagged, and we really appreciate that.
By the way, just as a side question, it's not the main focus in here, but does it get to you because you're having obviously on your end a lot of drama that's going on? Does it get to you? And this is quite not a question to Patrice only, but it's for all in the round, because normally what happens is I thought that Marky said it's going down third lane. I don't know that because obviously I'm a German speaking native and not English, so this term doesn't say anything to me, but it was about insulting and telling me to
life threatening. Mark, I've actually gotten involved in those. He gets a lot of hate. I'm sure that Steam cleaners too, but I'm just not familiar. How do you guys deal with that? Like, I'm curious too.
Well, I have a personal face, so that makes it different. Steam cleaners is like an organization, so I don't think they're as personal about attacking.
That makes a lot of difference. And the other thing is, and one advantage and one disadvantage that Mark has is that he's using his own stake. That's an advantage because he can flag what he wants to with it. It's also a disadvantage because it's him personally that is doing the flagging. So he does get attacked a lot more than Steam Cleaners does. For Steam Cleaners, we have a scope. And although people don't like that scope, and we have people on both sides that, of the issue. We don't flag enough or we flag too much, but we try to keep a happy medium in there and we try to stay within our scope. So a lot of times we get a lot less than somebody like Mark does who's doing it with his personal stake. And it's very hard to deal with. I've had issues in the past with people and I just have to step back from it and say it's not something I need to get involved in. Somebody will come at me with hate. I will respond in a diplomatic way as I can, and then that's it. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to engage. And that is the key for me, is not engaging. I'm going to respond to anything that needs a response or that deserves a response from. Other than that, I'm not going to engage the user. They usually pretty much give up eventually. Right now I have a little campaign coming on from Steem and Steam Vote Justice, I think it is. He's got several accounts and he's got a little campaign going on right now, which is kind of irritating, but I'm not going to engage. If I engage, it just validates him.
Oh, the self-vote justice, right? That guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen it? Yeah, he's all about me and MacBot at the moment. So, I mean, if I engage, then I open myself up to have to deal with it, and I just don't engage. People DM me all the time. Hey, I'm on MacBot. Why? I respond. They get hateful. I ignore them. I block them. I mean, it's not worth my mental time and effort or my emotional stress to deal with.
Yeah, Mark is sharing some of the darkest moments there. It's pretty ridiculous.
He gets a lot because it's a lot more personal with him using his personal stake.
Yeah,
I'm reading these things I've seen. And I'm reading these things, and I remember when I was attacked by everybody knows this. I was attacked by Bernie, and I just wanted to leave. I was just like, I don't need this negativity in my life. To hell with all this. Yeah. And I was ready to go. I published a flounce post of like, screw this, I'm off. I don't need any of this negativity in my life. If this is what's going on this blockchain, I don't want to be here. Have you ever had a moment like that? Have any of you ever had a moment where you're just like, this is not worth it, I'm out?
Every day.
So, oh wow, what like, how do you bounce back from that? What brings you back every time?
A lot of times it's just seeing the good that I do, and that there are people out there that appreciate what I do. I mean, I look at, and honestly, and this may sound bad, but I look at my witness rank a lot of times and say, hey, people think I'm doing good. And otherwise they wouldn't be voting for me. So I need to, step back, regroup, and get back in the fight.
For me, when the abuse comes, I get stronger and I get faster and I get better. And And this kind of abusive behavior is what made me start doing this to begin with, and what is the driving force behind why I'm so driven to spend 7 days a week on a platform that's tanking with a bunch of people that don't care and fighting everyday abuse every day and not getting paid anything for it, because I care about my friends that are there that are really doing good things, and it's just makes me stronger and more aggressive and more able. So it doesn't harm me at all. Every now and then I get a little bit upset over something that happens to one of my friends, but they come at me, I laugh. I pass out popcorn. I like popcorn with honey and sugar on it. And I put popcorn with salt, that I put Himalayan pink salt popcorn.
Okay,
So,
now you're making me hungry. You said, like, is this the purpose here? Making me hungry? Oh, pink Himalayan salt, man, on popcorn. Nah, that's wrong. Okay, go on. I'm gonna drool here.
so for me, you know, and the camaraderie I have with these guys that are putting up with this crap and not getting paid, but they're fighting this abuse every day, is just beyond any kind of friendships I've ever developed in the world, other than the friendship I have with my wife. So I have to say, for me, the rewards I've received outside of receiving Steem far outweigh the abuse and the bullshit we get from these idiots that are trying to rip off our platform.
I have to say the most discouraging part for me isn't the comments I get from the abusers. It's the mentality I have to deal with some of the whales that, and I think Marky Mark knows what I'm saying. When I have to deal with the mentality of some of the whales that, you know, what is, you know, it's okay for me to abuse and not okay for everybody else to abuse.
The hypocrisy is
exactly that's the word I was looking for.
there. The entitlement and hypocrisy is like legendary.
You know,
I've never seen anything so thick in my life.
Yeah, that's what really, you know, talking about makes me want to throw my hands up and say, why am I doing this? You know, moreover than the the regular abusers every day. That really gets me.
The best one is the one that has a bot that flags people that self-votes, but with self-voting comments for $500 that were just empty comments, and then plagiarizes across 5 accounts and upvotes a picture of duct tape for $900. But will flag when I make a post that's over $50 or something like that, doing something good.
Absolutely, the same person that got steam cleaners off trending.
Yeah, I don't understand that behavior either. But I guess my point is, if I hope one day I have the opportunity to talk to that whale, because I know exactly what we're talking about, and see if I can get some sort of, you know, breakdown of the logic. What is the you know, the 1, 2, 3 step that you see in your mind? Because but this goes for everybody, like, because all of us have a certain responsibility of what behaviors we do on the blockchain, because the little accounts look at us, you know, and they think of us as the successful ones. Like, even somebody that has 800 Steem or 1,000 Steem, a little account comes in, especially the ones that we're talking about, and sees like, oh, this is a whale. You would be surprised how many times I've been called a whale and I'm barely a dolphin. So like, all of us have the that responsibility of putting our best foot forward and, you know, displaying the best behaviors, never shit posting, you know, or plagiarizing. I was like, this one time I don't want to. No, like, all of us share that responsibility. But it's almost like Mark was saying, it's kind of difficult to say, well, this is the example I'm setting forth, and then there's somebody at the top. It's like, if they come up to you and be like, hey, why can I? And I've had that happen to me, actually, because I've tried to do quite a bit of coaching myself. Oh, so why can't I do it? But I know that such and such does, like, tiny little, you know, one-liners and upvotes themselves to 200 and something, and nothing happens. And I'm like, oh. Then I go.
The thing is, have a conversation with him for 5 minutes. You'll realize that nothing you say will matter, because it's just complete hypocrisy, and he'll do one thing and then do the complete opposite for himself. It's the do what I say, not what I do mentality.
Absolutely,
really
especially when he can
bad.
justify it. He
And he
justifies
can
it.
bully his way around.
He justifies it because he needs money for debt funding. He needs money for anti-abuse projects. He needs money for this, and it's just. I do not understand the mentality that, yeah, I need to create an anti-abuse project in order to fund it. I need to abuse.
The best part of it is his Sad Kitten project started downvoting bad content because it upvotes 5 cents to counter the 3,000 flags a month I get.
Mhm.
And he basically started flagging that because it upvotes the comments once in a
And
while. It does.
There's so many worse self-vote, abusers out there that I deal with comment farming all the time, and there's just so many out there that a 5 cent upvote is a drop in the bucket for when it comes to self-voting.
Yeah, it's at the point where you see so much of this, and you're just like, it's hard to even give a shit anymore because it's like no matter what you do, there's so much more out there that's not getting touched and getting ignored, and nothing you do. Like I've got a campaign going against a couple people right now where I'm flagging them constantly, trying to break them down, and I'm getting flagged back in return, and it's just like I can only deal with like a few of them at a time, and it's just, and you look at it and it's like there's so much stuff going on. It's just like, why even bother? It's just so much.
Yeah,
There
that's
is.
true.
It's
But
more
but
than
let
you
me
can
let me now slide somehow in ideas for the future, because what we're doing now is talking about now, and the present, and we just had quite an interesting discussion on a Slack in Utopian with Reggae Muffin and a lot of other people's talking about the possibility to include a flag pool that is not directly connected to the voting power but has a power of its own. Would something like this, I could even give it a bit more flesh to the bone, but would something like this go into the direction of being something that could help?
The thing about that, there's been multiple approaches to that. There's a separate flag pool. There's dual pools that you have 100% flag power and 100% voting power, and they power up differently. So, like, as you flag, you drain from one. There's also a discounted flags where you get 10% or 20% flags for free, and then you pay normally. The problem is, and there's a litmus test that I use, what will Hagen do when he has that power? And that'll answer your question. And Hagen is one of the many. There's people that are flagging the crap out of me because I'm doing what everyone should be doing, and I have to suffer for it. And then I got people like Asher in here that harass me all the time because I have an alt account that posts a meme that I created myself. And then, it's just silly stuff like that. It's just...
I'm waiting for somebody to find my stream account and start flagging me.
Yeah. It's like I spend so much stake fighting abuse and stuff like that, which I have no funding for. No one funds me or does anything for it. And then I get flagged nonstop from other people just because I'm doing what should be done.
Yeah. It's difficult to even come up with a way to encourage flagging that couldn't be abused some other way.
Well, every system in the end can be abused and will be abused. This is obviously some kind of...
The question is how to mitigate the amount of abuse.
Exactly.
There's just so much. I've said if we were going to actually fight spam, you need about 10 to 15 million Steem power to make a dent. Once you've settled it, you can drop it, but that's how much you need to counter the amount of stuff's going on. And that may not even do it. That'll make a dent, though.
And you need that.
And you need no strings attached. You need to be able to have the liberty of actually doing what needs to be done. And unfortunately, very little can be done.
You need that Steem power, and you need an army of reporters to go out and dig it up because there's so much of it out there.
Well, you also need a council that's going to pass judgment on what, because what Mark sees as spam, I may not see as spam. And what I see a spam, Mark may not see a spam. There's always going to be some subjectivity there too. So having just the steam power isn't the only issue. The other issue is, of course, getting the community to agree on a guideline on what is and isn't spam.
That's the problem. Is there's no authority, there's no guideline, there's no nothing. Everything is subjective. Every decision I make is painful because you have to decide, okay, to me, I don't like it. I think it's wrong, but I have to decide if it's the right thing to do or not. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot. And it's very frustrating.
It
like
is
you have this guy called Homesys who I've been flagging nonstop. And all he does is post public domain images, and then he has a 105% circle jerk that he gives everyone 105% of the steam of the liquids on the post. And he does this 5-10 times a day. And the only purpose is to farm. But this is out of scope.
Right?
Home sys without an E in the middle.
Yeah.
And I've been getting flagged by him and his other accounts and the people that have been following him. But all it is a massive circle jerk, and that's it.
And
there's no value to the chain, but no one can do anything about it. So I have to use my own stake to fight it.
I'm going to pull up that whole tag again and and add all the farmers to MacBot again. I can only add the farmers. I can't add people who are posting real content, although I wish they would stop the practice because all it does is encourage the farmers. But I'm going to pull them up again, and I'm going to add all the ones that I can see that are actually farming.
Well, they're posting, and that's what gets them past your guidelines. Is they're posting an image, they source it,
yeah,
but there's absolutely zero value.
That gets them past Steam cleaners. That's why I have Spaminator.
And then every single post they make adds 50 or more transfers to pay out everyone that voted on it.
And also, they're a haven for Dart and some of the other accounts, and that's why, as I told you before, some of them have gotten picked up in the Dart sweep and the Tart sweeps that I do because they Dart and Tart and them, they love those accounts that do that because it's a free way for them to get money from their 20,000 plus accounts without getting flagged.
Yep. And then you have the Homesys guys on Golos doing something very much similar but much bigger. And because he can get away with it a lot easier over there.
Yeah.
But he's still pretty much home free except for what I'm flagging him.
Well, I guess that's one of the hopes that we have for having communities like Patrice was saying, because then we could basically grab those users.
Doesn't do jack. It just hides. They're still going to get the money out of the reward pool. So you have to decide, okay, do you care about the reward pool or do you care what people see? And people like Transistor care about what people see. They don't give a shit about what happens to the reward pool. And that's
You're getting passionate, my brother, and I hear you. But what I was trying to say is when we have oracles, right, we would be able to grab some. You remember how it's a two-step system. So you have one that is trying to determine if it's one user, one account, and the other one that if the user is acting right. So
yes. But that's just for bonus rewards and stuff.
That would be for bonus rewards. But it could turn out, of course, I don't know, it's all speculation, that people will be like, oh shit, I can make more money if I'm actually doing things right. And they would start behaving properly. That's possible.
But they can make way more money sitting in the corner where no one's looking and getting 100% self votes all day. Because you're not going to reward them more than what they can reward themselves.
Well, the hope is that everybody that people will create communities that people want to be a part of. Okay, so if we have 100 different communities that are run well with people kicking out bad parties and rewarding those members of those communities for what they post in their contributions, the idea is that hopefully everybody will want to become part of one of those communities, and that those communities will be getting all of the rewards as opposed to your outliers and your guys sitting over in the corners, self-rewarding.
A big part of it is now we have 100 bots. And when I started, when I created Build a Whale, we had 3. And I created Build a Whale to be different. I have human curation. I actually stop abuse and whatever. 95 of those 100 bots don't have a blacklist. They don't really care about anything. They're not even present. They don't even respond if they miss a bid. They miss bids all the time. And they don't do anything. And they're just allowing this to get worse because they know which bots to go through. So if I blacklist them, I blacklist them on 2 bots. I blacklist them on mine, and 3 bots, and I blacklist them on Post Promoter. But none of the other ones use it. So they just farm Emperor of Naps and all those other ones that don't care.
And the question is how to get those people to the table and get them to start caring. And unfortunately, it's going to be difficult. And I really don't see a way at this point.
It's like make more money or fight spam and make less. I mean, they're not even on Steam.
They don't even, if they stop rewarding the spammers, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll make less. I mean, if we could bring them to the table and get everybody that posts good quality content to understand that using a bid bot is not necessarily bad, it's just a form of promotion, and to get good content creators using those bid bots to replace the income that these people were getting from the scammers, then it would be more of a win-win situation.
My bot makes less than the other bots because I have such a large blacklist, and I deny them, but they also know to avoid me.
And so the question is how to get good quality content users using your bid bot and getting other people bring other people to the table to stop uploading crap content with bid bots or low quality content. I'm not in favor of calling low quality content out as scam or spam or anything else, but it'd be nice to see a quality threshold when it comes to voting or buying votes, but that also brings other problems, and those are manpower issues to manually curate everybody who is requesting votes, and I understand that is also an issue with revenue.
That's what I do now. The problem is I can't do it in real time.
Exactly.
Because you have 2.4 hours and then you're at 100% and you have to vote. Yep. So there's just not possible to do that around the clock.
Yeah.
But that's what I do with the blacklist but the problem is it's not always immediate. But what I find a lot I block a lot, and I've noticed because we do human curation. So we look at every single post that comes in, and the difference between before I went public and blacklisted like mad and afterwards is huge. It was so difficult to find 5 posts a day. And now it's a lot easier. We get a lot less posts, a lot less garbage. But it's endless. And the problem is you have big whales that rave about their curation efforts, and then they're supporting garbage too. And that's not even using bid bots. So it's like,
yeah, that's true.
No matter where you look, you can't win.
But what can we do from is there a chance that we can shape this blockchain a bit differently? That would it make more difficult for abusers to make the business run upon? Or is this simply, we're just giving to the truth, by the way, that every system can be abused and will most likely be abused if there's something to earn?
If you ever read the white paper for Steem, it actually says it very clearly. So when Dan was designing this thing, he knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
He knew that there was no way to curb abuse, and he actually even warns.
Yeah.
And obviously, as somebody that I respect intellectually quite a bit, so he even warns that we should not attempt to curb all abuse because a certain amount of abuse is part of the work that gets put into an ecosystem. So I say this, and then somebody will be like, "What do you mean? Like spam has value?" Well, I guess you could say transaction-wise it does, because if you're looking at blocktivity or what have you, a certain percentage of that is going to be quote-unquote a content with no value. However, they are transactions. Yeah, pretty big percentage. But there's something to be said about those numbers. They add up. Also, you have these challenges, of course, man hours and trying to curve and all that. It seems like we're having a discussion about how do we eliminate cockroaches from the planet. And
You're
so,
not going to.
And so
I
you
think-
can't.
The question is how to mitigate the biggest
How to
part of
mitigate.
it.
Correct. What I'm thinking right now, this is where my mind is going at the moment. It is obvious to me that this whole blacklisting, even though Marky started, has recently just started to evolve into something decent. So like, I think Marky was the first one to do it, and I commend him for that. But then of course Post Promoter, I think Minnow Booster also has a
Post
blacklist.
Promoter doesn't do it. They use my blacklist,
Well, my point is that
and that took a long time to get.
it took a long
Yeah.
time. I actually was one of the voices that would go under Matt, and I actually appreciate that.
None
I
of
get
the
along
other
with
ones
Matt
want to
fine.
do it.
I was like, Matt, dude, listen, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And like, I was being a pain in the butt, but very nicely. And I'm not taking credit. I'm sure there's 100 people that were doing that, and it finally happened. But what I think we could do, and I don't think it would take that much work, to be honest, is look at what bots have a lot of Steam power, and don't have blacklists, don't have any accountability, and maybe call out the delegators. Since the bot itself is a faceless, nameless, nobody knows. Maybe if I'm just going to put a name out there, maybe let's say Smooth, which I have no problem with Smooth, but let's say Smooth is delegating to King of all naps. I have no idea. I haven't checked, by the way. This is an example.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, hey, Smooth, could you please reconsider? It's not that I'm saying don't delegate to Bitbots, but if you delegate to a responsible one, like you could delegate to Smart Steam, you could delegate to Build a
Yeah.
Whale or Of My Vote, whatever ones that run blacklist, it would be healthier for the platform, and you can put the right example forth. I think we can do that as a community, and without being aggressive, without being insulting, without being like, oh, you're part of the problem. You're not, I think we can do that. That's reasonable.
I think all these methods are just band-aid. What needs to be done is curation has to be fixed. And there's a lot of talk about 50% curation, which means the voters get just as much as the authors, which I don't think is fair because the authors do more work, but then it will make other accounts vote. But that's going to be abused as well. But there's another one that's way out in left field that may even be the real solution is get rid of post rewards completely and do 100% curation reward. And that flips everything completely upside down. Now people get all their money back when they vote, but people are going to choose things to vote on that they want to support. And the content creators are going to have to work harder to be rewarded, to be seen, to be pushed up. But they're not going to get rewarded in terms of post rewards. And it takes a while to wrap your head around how that would affect things, but it's actually quite an interesting proposal.
I think that that's how Scenario's product works, if I'm not wrong. Which is the wildspark.me, which is kind of like a video reward platform for sharing a reward platform where you basically only get curation. At least that's what I understood, which is like sort of like 100% curation.
Right.
I don't-
The voter gets 100% of their vote back. So they can vote on whatever they want. They're going to get the same result. So you don't have to worry about people circle jerking. You don't have to worry about shit content. You don't have to worry about people trying to game the system. Whatever your stake is, that's what you can get. And then you can pick and choose what you want to be on trending. And everyone can do that without having to worry about, oh, I'm going to butter up my friends or do something to help them out or slide this underneath somewhere in the back where I'm going to do it for myself.
The question is why would a content creator want to come to a platform like that when they earn nothing from producing content? That's the only problem that I see there.
Because they get the message out and they buy Steem and grow that way and stuff like that. It's a totally different way of doing it, but it's really what we have now. We have people that have stake earn money, the people that don't.
I think
have
we
the
might
same thing
lose.
already.
We might lose our gateway to crypto. Kind of, Steam as many, and I agree with that. It's kind of like a gateway to crypto. And people that don't know a damn thing about crypto, they one day bump into Steam. It's like, oh, this is crypto, and of course it's complicated. It's not going to be easy by all means, but by comparison, you're not having to learn how to set up a master node and install Linux on your laptop. But so my point is that one of the features why Steam has succeeded as much as it has, and I know people here are talking about Steem tanking, and I respectfully disagree, is because of that gateway ability that it has, and that's why there's a community here. That's why we are here actually having this conversation, because we walked through that door. We're like, oh, what is this? A crypto thing? Like, that was me, and I'm sure that maybe Marky, you've been involved in crypto a lot longer than I have, but I'm sure that that's a common story on Steem. So I don't know if I agree with that, but on the 50-50, I have some thoughts about that, and I think that could somewhat work better, because and I know, and I already actually wrote about this yesterday, because I already had some people tell me, people that I think are very smart, tell me some of their rebuttals, some of their ideas why I could be wrong. Like, we say, well, they're just going to abuse themselves and create alt accounts and vote on themselves and what have you, and so I kind of broke it down. I was, oh yeah, but people that are abusing, they're already doing it. So I don't know how this is. They're waiting for that to happen, so that, oh, now I can abuse. Abusers will abuse whatever chance they get. They're looking for the loophole, and they're not going to wait for that. The other point that some people are going to say is, and I guess that's probably where you're coming from, Marky, where it's like, well, that much, you get that much just for an upvote. I don't know. And I have a story that I've shared a couple of times that I just shared so that people understand where I'm coming from. I had an opportunity once to place one of my songs with a really big band, and I was offered 5% for the rights of that song. So a song that I wrote by myself, lyrics, music, all that, and I could have placed it with a band, and I would have kept only 5%. Well, my pride didn't allow me to accept that contract, and I said no. And I got 100% of nothing. So I use my little analogy because the way that I see it would be like, yeah, 50% sounds like they're taking quite a bit, but at the same time, I'm not entitled to anything. When I make a post, if I write something about philosophy, if I share a song, I'm not entitled to a damn thing except for the stake I hold myself. Whatever I get is the cherry on top and the glazing. But if more people are incentivized to power up and to upvote more because they're making more, and I'm a better content creator, maybe we're not talking about dividing the pie percentage-wise, but we're talking about making the pie bigger. Yeah, I'm only getting half, but the pie is huge. So I see that possibility. Now, of course, this also does like a trickle-up economics kind of system where people that have a lot of money are going to get richer. But in that sense, as much as I understand that argument, that reflects how economics work. Because unfortunately, the sapiens, have not figured out another system that is not somewhat plutocratic. That's how economics work in the world. So if you show me a place where, oh, no, everybody is the same, like, oh, yeah, we're all the same, we all got the same amount of money, you blow my mind. Because it's like that joke that's like, we're all the same, but some are the same a little different. Like, we're all equal, but we're all equal at different in different ways. So and I'm not even talking about socialism, communism, and all that stuff, because this is where the conversation goes.
There's one thing. Sorry, are you still going?
No, that's it. No such thing as trickle down economics.
Man, yeah, can go forever, basically.
One thing I'm wondering, though,
Sorry.
I'm not wondering, but one of the major problems with Steem is, you guys are talking about self-voting. It's like, nowhere do you see somebody buy $1 million worth of tokens and then be told, hey, everything you earned from those tokens, you have to give away. I mean, that right there is the root of the problem.
Yeah. You can't rely on altruism. Oh yeah, everybody.
It's not even altruism. It's just like, you say, okay, you buy all this stake. What do you buy it for if you're giving it away? I mean, the curation is so far from voting, self-voting, delegating the bid bots, or any other option. It's like, it's huge.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I just can. Well, it's not really the post that I wanted to post, but it's part of it. There has been a lively discussion going on in this post, 3 days old, and it's from Kevin Wong. It's about basically the same thing, but this is part of what started the discussion lately in the Utopian Slack, where we've been discussing about how to maybe have a handle, how to you can get this from a technical point of view better. You cannot get it away, or you cannot really make it not happen, but maybe you can make it a bit better. Just like you are doing on the abuse fighting front every day, you're making it a bit better, and you're not giving up. There are some interesting ideas in there. We have covered some of them as well. I just wanted to put it out there because it's making sense. It's taking up ideas like the flag pool that we have just discussed. It's taking up ideas like higher curation rewards. I think they are speaking of 50% in there. And it's also talking about the reward curve, which is the other magical tool, apart from Marky Mark being able to influence the blockchain magically. What I just have learned, the reward curve is the other magical thing that is influencing rewards a lot. And they also take up a discussion about that in there. I do not want to get into details because this is obviously not leading us to the point, but there are lively discussions out there how we can maybe make Steem a bit of a better place.
Yeah, this is wishful thinking, but I really honestly would love to see a testnet that has some of those features in there, and then run some sort of campaign for a week, and so that we go like, oh, let's say we'll grab the Helpy community, let's go in there and let's mess with it and see how, something like that. I know that's wishful thinking, but I would love it because I think some people are trying to speculate on human behavior, and that's one thing you can.
That's super complicated, isn't it? That's super complicated.
It is very
What I'd like
complicated.
to say is, if we already have a broken system, and we can't figure out how to fix what we have, how is adding another system to a already broken system going to fix that system? Everyone thinking SMTs are going to make this big Masonic boom change. It's not. It's going to make larger circle jerks is all it's going to do.
Well, I don't know how you can make that assertion. I mean, I get your concerns, and some people have voiced them as well. But the fact of the matter is that when SMTs comes out, like when they come out, people are going to be able to set their own rules. So when they create their own community, so they're going to be really labs, very much so like what we're discussing at this moment. I've considered, I'm not saying I will, but I've considered creating an SMT for Helpy and coming up with some rules that I think, in my limited knowledge, that would probably be the best for engagement and community development and whatnot. I could be completely wrong, but I'm sure, like me, there's probably going to be hundreds of people who are thinking, oh yeah, this is my idea is the one that's going to work. And I think the leadership on the platform should be able to look at all these little lab experiments and be like, okay, that idea was good, this one was crap, this is good, and fine tune something that would probably work for most people. Somebody called this isolated gardens. I thought it was a great analogy. They're going to be isolated gardens. They're going to work within those walls. And the good ones are going to succeed. The bad ones are going to fail. The ones that become circle jerks and all of a sudden all the SMTs go to one single account and there's no transacting on that thing. Well, the value of those SMTs is going to go to zero because there's actually nobody transacting. And a coin that is held by one or two accounts is a coin that is basically worthless. Nothing. Yeah. And we're also going to have ones that have somewhat a better distribution system, and they're going to be able to find valuation depending on what it is that they bring to the table. So I am bullish on SMTs, not because of, I think of them as like, whoa, once they come out, that's it, man. Once they come out, you watch. Steem $50, I'm gonna freaking buy two houses. No, I'm not that dude. No. I think it's gonna give us the ability to have these lab experiments in order for us to fine tune what it is that we're trying to solve right now. Because at the end of the day, all we are trying to do here, having this brainstorm session within the communities, what have you, is we're trying to predict human behavior, and that is very difficult. And I'm somebody that loves psychology, and I struggle with it quite a bit. So I don't know the answer. I get your concern, but yeah. I'm not bearish about them at all.
And I don't think that SMTs and communities are going to magically solve the problem. I don't. I do think they have the potential to solve some problems and be very rewarding for some communities. Let's just say, like, be scouted. I am sure Steem STEM and maybe German communities, people being able to form their own communities and control who joins them and who gets rewarded, is going to massively change some things. But overall, I don't think it's magically going to fix our problem. It will add some complications, and I'm just waiting to withhold judgment on whether or not it's going to be a good thing overall or a bad thing for the platform.
Yeah, agreed. I don't want to turn this too much into an SMT conversation, but I will say one more thing about them. I think 99% of them are going to be shit coins, and that's fine because that's how Ether is. And nobody can sit here and say, well, at least I guess some people can, but nobody can, most people won't say that Ether is a shitcoin. You know, it's had its success. People that bought it at cents made a lot of money with it. You know, now we are holding the possibility of having the next Ether. And yeah, 99% of them might be shitcoins, but if you have
Thank you,
a lot
Ron.
of Steem, if you have a lot of Steem, you might do well. You know, you might. I guess nobody knows. This is not financial advice, but you might.
Yeah, you might. That's actually the
Ron.
point. Yeah, but it's quite hard to tackle this. Technically, it is because I already have discussed it, the opportunity to have such like either a lab of testnets running and people really acting on the testnet with different rules and like to see how things are moving around, or following Tensor's approach that is talk about machine learning and kind of prediction how things are going to be if we are changing this and that key factor or key parameter of the chain. I really would love to play around with that, but this is kind of complicated to come up with. At least I think it is.
No doubt.
Because in the end, we could really try to see how rewards would be running around, how people would change their behavior or not. But yeah, this is quite scientific and not just around the corner. At least I don't see that.
Asimov is no longer here. We can't predict the future. But at the same time, guys, I know this conversation is not necessarily about like being bullish on Steem and all that, but even though the topic is somewhat negative, or well, it shouldn't be really.
No,
But,
it's not a negative topic, is it? It's just
like I don't want anybody to walk away from this thing like, oh, Steem is tanking and now we're coming up, we're down to the fort. Everybody get in the fort. Everybody got your cauldron of hot oil so we can spill it down the troops because they're coming for us. We're gonna go to zero. Like there's nothing like that going on. I honestly think that even though it's been a bear market and it's hurt a lot of people, I include myself in there. We've been building constantly, and right now, in one way or another, we've kind of weeded out the weak hands, and I don't mean that money-wise. I mean that community-wise, the people that were not really here for the community, and we're having these difficult conversations, right? We're trying to come up with solutions so that when the market turns around, and I don't know when it will, we should be better prepared to deal with the situation. We should be. So, like, in all intents and purposes, for me at least, this is not an indication of the end. The fact that we're having this conversation is actually the fact that we're still here, we care, and we're trying to come up with a solution so we can be ready for.
Well, Menno, to be honest, if no abuse would happen, this would mean that we are running a super dead shitcoin.
Yeah.
I've actually heard a lot of people say that. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's being abused. Good. It means there's a lot of people." So there's enough.
It has worth to abuse it.
Ability platform. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, it's being abused. It means it's being used.
Yeah.
Abuse is a form of use. That's
Absolutely.
not true. Even the.
It's part of the ecosystem. If there wasn't abuse, we wouldn't have a job to do.
Very true. Very true.
Yep.
Well, guys, I'm sorry that I've been speaking a lot. I will try to shut up and listen a little more. Okay.
No, this was the show that would come at 10. Shut Up and Listen was brought by Codex, Mino. You just go on. It's okay. I really think that in the end, this won't lead to a certain point. You know, we won't get a super result. out of this bouncing around of ideas. But on the other hand side, I think that this is necessary in order to at least think about the possibilities that we do have, because this is not a fixed system. This is like, the Earth. Somebody said, I don't know, half an hour ago, I think it was you, Menno, at least the probability is high, that you said we cannot get cockroaches from Earth, extinct, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is true, but because you cannot recode Earth. But what we can do is we can change Steem completely, upside down, left to right, whatever. Because Steem is not something that has magically appeared out of Marky's head, but it's a piece of software that can be changed totally, and where you can do I don't know what funny things that you can obviously not do with Earth, and so you're not. It's not a possibility to extinct cockroaches. So I think the opportunities or the possibilities that we have here are far superior to that situation that you just described back then.
Yeah, I agree. I think we might be off air, by the way. I think.
No.
The Mino show is over?
No.
The Mino show is over?
No, the Meta show is also going on still. And Clovo said we are live because Codex, who would have started now his show, Shut Up and Listen, and that I really would like to listen to, by the way, and I even shut up while listening to it. He just he did not quit. He kind of had a lot of things to do, and he quit part-time, I hope, and he's coming back soon. Well, no, this is fake news, I think. He quit. This is true, and I don't know if he's coming back, but I would like it to be. On the other hand side, this gives us a bit more freedom to go over the 10 o'clock, or it's 10 o'clock here in Central European time, it's 8 o'clock UTC time.
Yeah, did you guys already talk about the possibility of creating an SMT for Steem cleaners? Did somebody bring that up?
Again, sorry.
No, I don't think anybody's brought that up. It's something that we are just kind of waiting to see how it goes. We definitely have talked about creating a community that would not just be for Steem cleaners. It would be anti-abuse, unless there is somebody else that creates such community that we'd want to be a part of. And I'm not completely sold on the idea of creating a Steem cleaners token or SMT. I'm not sure the value that would have for just one group, or even if we called it for Steem cleaners and Spaminator. I would be more likely to wait and see how SMTs are received and the community responds, and see about joining forces with and integrating a larger group of anti-abuse efforts for an SMT.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. The reason why I bring it up as an SMT is because I think it's been a very clever way that some projects have been able to get some delegation happening. Like as we know, ActiveFit is a really good example. They have an SMT, of course. Right now it's not an SMT. It's I don't even think they're doing ERC20 tokens. You're just collecting coins on their website, as far as I know. But if you're a delegator to them, you collect those tokens every single day, and then when SMTs launch, that's going to be in your wallet. So we have something similar with Steem Hunt, and I think there's other examples. But
everything that's already inside Steem. That's why I don't think SMT is going to be a big boost, because if we had some companies that were outside of Steem right now, some companies that were some real companies that are profitable companies, not companies that are losing money or companies that are overvalued because they have bankers buying their stock, but real strong companies buying Steem so they could create an SMT for their customers on their existing websites, then I think SMT would be a big deal. The fact to me that SMTs are just it's like another Steem monsters. The customers are already Steem people. We need new customers outside of Steem, and that's what's going to make Steem better. not the same customers just doing another game.
I got you.
Well, the SMTs allow you to do different things. Like part of things with SMTs is you'll be able to customize the curation rewards. So you'll be able to do 75, 25, 60, 40, whatever you want, as well as other rules, and change the rules completely. And that's
you could also in the communities, you could ban, if you wanted to, you could ban all bots and try and run that experiment.
Yep. You can actually decide who can and can't be community. I mean, you can take Mark's and my blacklists and just automatically deny entry into the community if you're on the list. You can have entry requirements to a community. You have to have proof of identity to join a community. There's all sorts of things that can be done with a community. And I agree with both. I agree with I Am Stan too. We do need outside investors and new people coming in to SMTs, but I also think that it has a benefit for existing Steam users. So I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, my whole point is that we want to grow the platform. We want to make Steam more palatable for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about a whole lot of wishful thinking. I mean, y'all, we just went through Hard Fork 20, and these guys that put us through Hard Fork 20 and took us a whole week, and we're really not totally content and happy with the outcome of what occurred, and they're going to put out an SMT next.
But look at the amount of spam that has dropped and whatnot. So it's done quite a bit already. Yeah. It's not perfect, but look at how much abuse has been cut down.
It has been a hard time until that.
The purpose of Hard Fork 20 wasn't to make it hard to actually interact with people that you normally would interact with. The purpose of Hard Fork 20 was really only to tackle spam, because for me, what it's done for me is it's made it harder for me to curate with the people that I like. I like to go ahead and vote for people that I like in the first minute, because I don't really care about that curation coming back to me. So
yeah, I don't like how that has affected commenting.
And I can't, comment. Somebody comments, I can't upvote their comment, and they can't upvote my comment. Who's going to hang around 15 minutes after?
I don't even bother upvoting comments anymore. It's just not worth it.
Right, I know, but I'm saying that this is the Hard Fork 20. It was only we went through all this crap just to knock out a little bit of spam.
Actually, it's done quite a bit for knocking out spam, but I think the problem with the upvoting is an issue. It's not something that has any anti-spam. There's no reason, that it mitigates spam. I don't know. I think the idea was just a bad one when it comes to the upvoting. It brought more gamification. That if you want to upvote,
for spam.
Yeah, if you want to upvote, you got to wait around 15 minutes. That's ridiculous. People are just going to create bots to, put a link in and come back 15 minutes to upvote it. I mean, that just adds more gamification if somebody takes the time to actually build us a interface to do that with.
That's coming, actually. But the upvoting is not for spam. It's for one purpose, is to level the playing field between self-voters and curators. So the self-voters have the same chance of getting curation rewards as everyone else. And that was the problem, is people self-voted 0 minutes. They have all the curation rewards. They don't have to fight for them. That was the problem it solved, and that was the only thing it addressed. But Steam Peak is actually going to add a delay and have it so when you make a comment, it can wait 15 minutes. We were talking about that. They already do a 3-second to make sure it hits next block. But to add it so it can wait till like 15 minutes wouldn't be that difficult. So there's some talks about doing that. And then anybody else making their own front end can do whatever they want, because Steemit.com is not really advanced.
Well, another thing I'm going to say it here, because even though this is not what the show is about particularly. But if there's anybody like a real user that is struggling to interact on a platform, like a real user, somebody bring him to me. But there's actually quite a few people here, like LL Farms and all that stuff. We're trying to help real humans interact. So like, I don't want somebody who is, coming from Venezuela, who's actually doing, good content and is trying, and it started last week and is running out of comments to quit because they only have 15 Steam power. So like, if that's the case, like, send me a DM. I don't want those people to leave. I'm delegating. There's quite a few people that are doing it.
Yeah,
we started an initiative in Helpy for that. We're setting some Steam power aside so we can help those little accounts interact. Hopefully, at some point in time, we're going to figure out this whole RC thing. But
I mean, come on now. You're telling me that you need to delegate because of Hard Fork 20, and Hard Fork 20 was a success.
It's only for people less than 100 Steam power.
We had the same problem.
Once you have 15 to 30, you're usually okay.
How much Steam does a new person get?
There was a bandwidth problem a couple of months ago, and that was before the hard fork, and I had to delegate to like dozens of people that had no bandwidth to do anything.
When the blocks fill up, yeah.
That was in January.
How much Steam does a new person get? If I was a new person today and I sign up and I get a new account,
15.
I'm gonna have to get delegated before I can do anything.
You get
really?
15, which is enough to do a few comments a day.
Yeah.
So they get 2. Okay. Wow.
But
and that's going to really motivate people to want to be involved, and that's going to make Steam better than Facebook.
The thing is, there's a few things at play. Even Reddit has limits. Like, you can't post so many times with a new account. You get shadow banned under certain things. The problem is, we're not Facebook. We're not Reddit. We're a public blockchain that's synchronizing a very large database of everything from the beginning to many places that has to synchronize full nodes, seed nodes, witness nodes. It's not a system that's run by a corporation that can have an optimized architecture that can handle the growth and take the old data and put it on slower drives or big arrays of disks. You don't have that luxury. You have a blockchain which is way more complex, and it's really innovative. It's pioneering. It's not a problem that's been solved, and even with what we're doing now, we're having problems with scaling, and we have a future that we need to solve these problems for us to even survive. And we still haven't solved them yet, so it's not a simple problem.
So the intention was really not for the purpose of reducing spam, was not about helping people interact. The whole intention of this Hard Fork 20 is to help scaling and reduce bandwidth and reduce the amount of computer power and RAM it takes to run the system.
It's to make people pay fair prices. Prior, on bandwidth systems, everything was very, very low priced. It was not accurate to what it should be charged. Now what we're trying to do is get to the point where it's people paying a fair share.
There was one time when really the bandwidth was badly used and overused, when really things got pricey as well with bandwidth. But this was generally...
That was when Hagen was posting. There was a few people that have made studies that said that when Hagen started getting online and all his bots came in, that's when bandwidth started getting really bad.
Also,
and there was a lot of correlation between that.
Mm-hmm. Also, right around the same time, we had the problem with Steam Inc. Was redelegating to the Dart accounts. And at one time, Dart votes made up 70% of the votes on the blockchain.
Tell them how many accounts are in Dart now?
About 30,000.
Give you a point of view. And now, put that in perspective, 30,000. Now, if you looked at my post the other day, there's only about 10,000 active users. So if you kind of put that in perspective there.
I have a little over 45,000 on my blacklist right now, and that's not all of them. I'm going to tell you that right now. I probably need to add another 5,000 or 6,000 that I haven't vetted yet to make sure that they are indeed spam accounts. But yeah, it is an issue, and more are still being created. One thing I had hoped is that with Hard Fork 20, that accounts like Dart wouldn't be able to profit, but with the need for Steem to still delegate to these accounts, it is still a problem.
Yeah, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the whole thing.
Exactly. Since they are being automatically delegated to from Steem, they still can operate.
But has the system gotten better for undelegating? Or no?
Yes, that's what the Redeemers, and I'm the only one that actually uses that functionality, unfortunately. But
I need to
get back to what you said, Patrice.
Mm-hmm.
Once, and this is what's short-sighted, I think this should have been done before, is if with Hard Fork 21, we're going to get delegation pools for RC. Now, if they delegate RC, that kind of solves the problem because they get no voting power with that 15 Steem power. And that kind of solves it. The problem is they didn't do that now.
Yeah, they can transact, but they can't. They can transact, they can upvote, but their upvote has no value, so there is no point in creating 10, 15,000.
Yeah, if they did that now, that would have been a huge, huge win.
Yes.
And it would also be a huge win for things like Steem Monsters. Think about this now, is with Steem Monsters, they have to delegate 15 Steem power or even 30 Steem power just so the people that are signing up with the free account they give out can even play the game. Maybe even more than 30, I don't know, but it's probably around 15 to 30. But with an RC pool, they have so much RCs that they're not even using. They can delegate RCs out. They don't get the voting power. And, like, for example, Build-A-Whale could support a ton of users without even affecting it in any way. Because all I use the RCs for is I might use like 1% of my RCs, 50% goes to creating accounts, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's would have been the solution.
And when is Hard Fork 20?
January testnet, March release is the target right now.
Yeah, well, that's not too far, but it could also be a soon TM.
But RC thing is, for example, Minnow, you said you want to help people that do that. Now, you as a normal user with 1,000 Steem power, 2,000, whatever you have, you're not using most of your RCs. You could delegate 800 of the, let's say you had 1,000 Steem power. You can delegate out 800 Steem power worth of RCs without affecting your account in any way. You'd be able to do everything you can do. So you could support like 8 to 16 new users by yourself without giving any voting power, but you'd be able to give them the RC's value and you'd still be able to function. And that's what we really need.
Yeah, that should, like, I agree with you. That should have been rolled out, or that should roll out as soon as possible. That is probably
that's
more
going to
important
be huge
than
for
anything else.
DAOs.
That will be huge for a lot of things, anti-abuse and for like Steem Monsters and that. I mean, being able to have anybody who signs up with a new account be able to transact without affecting the rewards pool is, I think that's very important. And especially when it makes it more pay to play, but it still gives everybody a chance to play.
Yeah,
I think that's what I wish really happened. But in the past, people weren't paying their fair share for the bandwidth, and that's the problem. That's what this was supposed to solve.
Which
I have
makes
more
sense
bandwidth than I can ever use,
Yeah.
and I just don't find the time to post. And when I do find the time to post, in the past, it's always been rants, so I probably haven't posted a post in months.
Now you talk about they weren't being charged as much for their bandwidth. Why are we also having the node issue now and all the nodes are being closed down or shut down? Is there some reason? Are they trying to eliminate the need for nodes, or are we going to have a new style of nodes or a new programming language for the new nodes, or is it just going to be eliminated to where we're going to have to totally revamp a lot of DApp systems, or everyone who creates a DApp is going to have their own nodes, so it's going to be super expensive for any new projects?
Well, the problem is a lot of the nodes are very hard to run. They're very expensive, 700 to 1,000 maybe even more if you don't use that one data center everyone uses. And people just don't want to do it. I mean, you don't get paid for doing it.
Mm-mm.
You get paid anywhere from 0 to 8,000 Steem a month for running a $60 witness server, but to run a $700 to $3,000 full node, you get 0. And after a while, people just don't want to run it. And unless if you're in the top 20, you just can't even afford it. And then the 2 nodes I know you are talking about, Build Team took down both the public. So now that hurts a lot because Build Team's node, the one I ran, was probably the most popular node for a long time. And then it started getting hammered by these certain queries that were only solved with app-based. And then no one went over to app-based. So we had problems there. But a lot of them are just taking them down because they don't want to manage them. They're too expensive. And there's just not a lot. And then you have, some people are forwarding, which is even worse. You have nodes that are just forwarding to other nodes and just making it worse. The performance is even worse. You think you have all these extra nodes, and they're just not really nodes. They're just pointing to another server that's already overloaded. They're just too freaking expensive to run, and there's no incentive.
So there's no. What about the need and the
People
need
like
for nodes?
DTube, Steam Monsters, all these big apps making $1 million, especially DTube, especially anybody with free stake from Steam. I'm like 2 million Steam power that they're getting for free. They should be running off their own nodes, not leeching off the main nodes, the public nodes. You have projects that are way smaller and they have their own nodes.
Mm-hmm.
All the projects are using public nodes, and there's not many. And they're getting fewer and fewer, and there's more coming down because no one wants to run it.
Right. So my question, the reason why I'm asking is because it seems like if we're going to be able to get more apps out there, we got to help them out when they're small. These other ones they're talking about that have had this million Steam power delegated to them for a year or however long, and they're making so much per year, maybe that should be moved into producing an initiative for nodes to be there. I also noticed that Ned said that in a comment to someone, get your own node. That was his solution.
Yeah, that's really what people need to do is get their own nodes for their projects. I mean, people are running projects that are making $1 million plus a year, but they're just using the public nodes.
So how is that going to help someone who's just starting out, who's building a new project, or even give someone the initiative? Okay, I'm going to build this great computer program. Oh, by the way, I've got to have $1,000 a month to kick it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was talking to you before privately, that full nodes, public full nodes serve one purpose. They allow people to bootstrap projects. Without them, you can't get people to build projects because they can't afford the upfront cost or even know how to run a full node. It's very difficult to run a full node. They're a pain in the ass. Steemd is not a very stable system. It's very demanding. So a lot of people can't deal with that. So these public nodes are needed to bootstrap. The problem is once people are bootstrapped, once people are rolling in the money, they don't switch. Why bother? They don't need to.
Currently, we're using a public node, but we are discussing having our own private node for Steam cleaners. Cheetah uses its own private node that NEX has been using for quite a while now because Cheetah needs a node of its own. In addition to that, we're going to most likely have to bring a node online just for Steam cleaners.
I've actually thought about making paid nodes for a long time now. And I've been approached by many people that want to buy a full node, and it's just not worth it to me. It's just too much work, too much money, and just for them to pay for the hardware in the thing, there's not much to pay for my time left. But I think we need to get out of nodes, and I have something that I've been thinking of that's a very different approach. That will change.
Beautiful. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need a different approach where we don't need nodes and you don't have to have 256 RAM.
Yeah,
problem is
that's the big
it's very
stumbling block for a
expensive.
lot of us.
Oh, Marky, you teased us a little bit into this now, and even Ron is
I
asking,
can't
hey,
really go into it because I don't want to spill. If I do go that where I don't want somebody else doing the same thing.
yeah, okay, I understand that.
But it's a very expensive thing to do, and for what I make as a witness, it's not going to cover it. But it's something that would help a dramatic amount. But
Well, you need to
I
talk
want
to
friends
LAR.
to get a dog, LO.
Mark, you need to talk to LAR about it because he's concerned
Who?
because
Diego, Ilia.
Diego, LAR,
Oh, Lear.
because Utopian is having node issues as well, and he
Everyone's
wants
having
to.
node issues except for the people that run their own nodes.
Yeah, I got no node issues because I'm
Or
not
the
running a
people-
node.
The people that don't use the system at all to do anything but just chat. But he's wanting to get involved and try to figure out some solutions for this as well. So maybe if you team up with Utopian, and it won't be so expensive for either side, and we can come up with a solution that will fix this problem for everyone.
Yeah, I can talk to him.
Yeah, it's really complicated. It's we are, and this is what Marky said in I don't know 10 minutes ago. It's this problem has not been solved yet.
I'm gonna show you something that will make you guys realize what we're at. Some people might know what this is, but this is the current list of nodes here. Of course, there it goes. All right, so if you look at this, Steem Gigs doesn't work; it's down. Tim Cliffs is a very scaled down 128 gigs of RAM test server that it won't sustain. Minnow support's up and running. They've put Jusky in front of it, but I still get a lot of timeouts on that. Privex I always have problems with. Pivo Sinus is down. SteamViz works, but not very reliable. Curry's down, but when it is up, it's extremely slow. GTG is down right now, but it's usually up, but very slow. Appy is replacing it. Bitcoin, it doesn't work. I have no idea what the deal with that one is. It's like it's never current. Steam Liberator, I believe, works. I thought it was redirecting for a while, but Appy Steam is what everyone's using. Build Team gone. So if you look at that list, we've just cut it down to less than half. And this is all we have. And you have all these dApps hitting it. And I will tell you, there's a lot of people. You think shit posting on Steam is bad? Wait till you see the shit posting the developers do. It's really bad.
And Nutuoso, is he leaving the platform now with the issue that he had and him powering down? Is that node's going to be gone as well?
I don't think so, but possibly. I know he's pretty upset with what Steam Inc. did to him, but I don't think he's leaving. But
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I just have read the same things that obviously you have.
But yeah, the node situation is really bad.
It is. It is
Okay.
really bad.
I hope he
I couldn't.
reconsiders.
I couldn't see depending on Steam Inc. server for stuff. I don't know how everyone else does it.
I'm switching around a lot lately, and the Minnow support one is extensively used by me in the latest time. And I built my own SQL where I just have the whole blockchain on my own server. So I do not need to, at least for all these read issues, I do not need to bother with any nodes.
I have this joke that I say anyone that wants to use Steam should have their own full node and their own condenser. This was back when condenser was really bad, and I ran my own because it was so bad, and I actually didn't want to do it. And then I started getting people using it. I said, okay, when it was really bad, they're like, hey, can I use it? And I let them use it, and then people started using it, and I didn't want to maintain a black box because it's not something I'm going to start making my own condenser or changing it. So I ran it only as long as I had to. But it's a joke I always say that if you're serious about Steem, get your own full node, get your own condenser, and you'll have your safe little world that works 99.99% of the time if you want a reliable system.
So if you want to be part of Steem, you have to have a separate full-time job that pays you $100K a year.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
It's been a lot better, though. I will say that Appy Steem has been a lot better in the last 3 months. It was really, really bad for a while. And I think, and I believe I know why. Because I was one of the first persons, probably the first person, to start messing with Jussie. And when I did, it couldn't stay up for more than 24 hours. After 24 hours, it'd crash. So I know how Steam and Ink does their system. They have a lot of servers that spin up and down as needed. So their Jussie servers are spinning up, but they're spinning down, so they're not staying on that long. So I don't think they were seeing the issue. But it would still hit it, and then it would spin down eventually. So people would start seeing all these 504 errors, but then eventually it would work because they just had so many servers. But there was 2 bugs that were fixed that once that happened, Justie was usable. But prior to that, I could not see anyone using Justie. But the fact that they spin them up and down probably solved that problem. But now that that problem got fixed, I think that's why Appy Steem has been so much more stable.
Well, since I have this one small moment of silence where Menno was not talking. Menno, are you still alive? I'm now fearing a bit.
Yeah, I'm letting people talk. I always
No. It's just I just wanted to know, if you're still there, because you said you won't shut up, and then you did shut up, and then maybe I lost some comments of yours where you said, okay, you will be silent for the rest of the show.
No.
It has been.
I'm just trying to do his best.
Yeah, thanks. It has been a tremendous discussion we are having for, I don't know, 2 hours already. I think we were half an hour into the show when we pulled up the pedal, and then things get going along, and it has been a very, very lively and intense discussion with a lot of good ideas. In the end, what was totally clear to me is that we would not save the day tonight and just eliminate the root cause of all abuse. Well, we could eliminate Steem, but I don't think that this is what we are up to.
I think we have to have one final question, because I've been staring at this post on my screen for the past 15 minutes, thinking up all the, and I think that we can also make it. We didn't have a raffle today. Maybe we can make it a raffle. Have you seen Ned's latest post?
Which latest post? SMT released.
I haven't seen it.
No. What post?
Ned has
the
secret.
Ned post. No, I haven't seen it.
I think that if Bucky's still around, we should we should totally have a raffle, the topic of which is, what in the world is Ned talking about? What's his secret? What's this gathering?
You don't know?
No, what the hell is he talking about?
He's not really a man. He's not really a man.
I'm pretty sure I know.
His hair. Yes, we know.
No, it's that he's really not a man.
It's a wig. That's the secret.
Me neither. What's the point?
I don't know.
No, he's gonna say like he's a reptilian or something silly.
Leonis is right. He is Bernie.
That would be amazing. That would be mind blowing.
I've had nightmares about that. I have had nightmares about it.
No. But there's
I
a
have no
interesting
idea.
post that just got shared. I have no idea, but it might be connected to the. I guess he was talking about a front end that he was working on, or he made a weird cryptic comment. I don't know why he does that. Like a little cryptic comment of a different front end. So that might be connected.
He said he's building a new company, completely, that's going to have which is really weird because it sounds like to me he's creating an EOS that's going to start out with the front end on the cell phones.
Well, so that's probably
It's the
his
mobile
secret,
thing
and it's not so
that's
secret. Yeah.
It's I could tell you what it is. It's shampoo on a blockchain.
Nah. That's
I actually asked him once what kind
It's
of shampoo
better than
he
that.
has.
It's conditioner. Instead of
really-
condenser,
yeah,
it's
it's really-
conditioner. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, Bucky.
I
Bucky
thought
here.
we weren't going to
Hey
discuss
Bucky,
hair care products
nice,
this time.
nice that you're stepping in.
No hair
I
care
always
products.
discuss. I always discuss.
Ilana,
hair.
listen to your producer when he
Have you
talks to
seen
you.
my
No.
hair?
No hair on this show. This is not open source hair show. So let's do a raffle. And we'll do a raffle. I'll tell you what we're going to be raffling for.
What are we going to raffle?
There we go. I just posted it. It's a
Oh,
comic
I need
book
to scroll down.
bundle. And so here is the question, the raffle. I'm going to post the raffle in a sec. But the question is, what is going to be Ned's secret? Don't type anything yet.
Ooh,
Okay,
nice picture.
so we have to. I'm gonna give you the. I'm gonna post the code in a sec, but you're gonna have 1 minute to post in what is Ned's big secret. You have to type text in there, or you won't be part of the raffle.
How are you going to know who wins?
There you go, because we have a beautiful raffle bot.
Woohoo! The raffle bot is back alive. He's breathing. So now, if you want to-
1 minute.
if you want to
type
win-
in
What was the
you-
question?
What do you think Ned's big secret is? You have to type text in order to qualify for the raffle, and then the raffle bot will tag you.
I'm thinking. I think there is no big secret. Ooh, that would be amazing, Leonis.
Secret is Victoria. That sounds.
Initial community offering. Whatever that means. Maybe he's selling us coins now.
Okay, the raffle is ended, and our bot is thinking hard about who's going to be the winner.
Natu! You're getting comic books. It's the Humble Comic Bundle. And I do have really problems to say Humble Bundle, even without comic in between. Yay! So, congratulations. And Bucky, congratulations that you revived our bot. I don't know how you did that.
Oh, that was Ron. It's all Ron.
It's all Ron.
done.
You know, Ron's the man. He brought back our bot. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, definitely way to go. And have fun with your great Humble Comic Bundle from Doctor Who. And I think that Ilana is now really, really jealous. Super jealous.
Not really, but a little bit jealous. Just a little bit jealous. But, you know, I'm really, really enjoying the new... Can't spoil my Whovian floatiness now, because I'm just, like, really super happy with the new Doctor. I'm just gonna put that out there. That's it.
Tenza, you got a good day today. No, there is not anything that you said. No, not fucking, and no. there is some aggressiveness to you and your comments today, or am I just reading that?
Well, just for text slot, I don't know Doctor Who yet, so maybe you have the chance that I get a fan of it.
You have got to try it. You have got to. Now that you've got the Humble Comics Bundle, you have to. You have no choice. You're going to have to get into Doctor Who.
Maybe.
Yeah, so just taking this moment of silence and wrapping the thing up. I really, really enjoyed all of you being live with us on air because it has been an intense and lively and interesting and sometimes even scientific show where we have been talking about the future of Steem, which is super connected to fighting against abuse and thinking about all these parameters that we have been talking about, and that we would really, or I at least would really like to see some simulations about, or some testnets coming up or whatever. We don't know that yet, but for anyone that's listening to this now live here with us on Discord or on Twitch or on, I don't know where we are, Vim, I think. or later on in the recording. If any one of you is a badass C++ programmer, then and wants to help us in coding a bit of the Steem code base, then look into Reggae Muffin's fork. It's under a name of Steem Community, and then it's a fork of the Steem Git repo. And there are a lot of issues in there going on as well, lively discussions about exactly the things that we just have talked about. And there, the link from Bucky is exactly what I was talking about. And get into the discussions. We're super happy having you there. And on the other hand side, by the way, what I wanted to ask of you as well, if you have not already done it, vote for Steem getting listed on, I forgot the name. This voting thing that has been happening.
Netcoins.
Netcoins. Crap. Thanks a lot, that crypto holder. Go vote for them. Vote for Steem to be taken up into this exchange. I think.
Is there a link?
Yes, there is one. Can somebody please put the link into here? This would definitely make sense. Also from Ned, Steem needs you, and I got a dirty secret. Thanks a lot, Pensive, and Ned's hairdresser. I think this was LL Farms before, but I'm not good at names, so it might be wrong. Thanks a lot for all of you who helped us make a driving show about Steem's future, and thanks a lot to the audience who have commented. I don't know, shit tons of valuable comments where we didn't have the chance to read them all out loud, because else we would be sitting here in 3 hours from now. Thanks a lot for taking part in this, and next week come back. It's gonna be another lively discussion. I would tell you what we are discussing about next week, but I don't know yet, so it will for sure be something taken directly from the things that will be happening during the week. And we are bringing it live to you next Wednesday at 6 p.m. UTC. And we are happy if you're coming back. Thanks, Bucky. Thanks, I'm Stan. Thanks, Marky Mark. Thanks, Menno. Thanks, Natu. Thanks, Patrice. And thanks, Ilana, especially Ilana, for being around. And thanks all the audience that have made this a wonderful show. See you next week on next Wednesday's Utopian Open Source Radio Show. Bye-bye.